Chapter 4164. His voice seemed to have enlightened them, but it was also like a soul power attack. Those people were stunned, and after a brief moment of absent-mindedness, they immediately retreated. The demon leech was a creature from the demon race. Not many people in the saint spirit world knew about it, but in the Buddhist domain, everyone's expression changed at the mention of it. It was a creature that could absorb soul power. Not only did it grow stronger by absorbing soul power, but it could also reproduce in the process. Their true strength was not strong. As long as they were discovered, even a one-star Holy Spirit could be killed effortlessly. The truly terrifying part was that if they accidentally entered the body, there was almost no chance of survival. Once someone was hit, they could only watch as the other person died quietly. If someone else went forward and came into physical contact, the demon leech would instantly burrow into the other person's body. At close range, there was no way to defend against it. The demon leech did not have a cultivation level. Before it entered the body, it could be said to be the weakest creature. But once it came into contact with the body, its lethality was even more terrifying than that of the Buddhist race's powerhouses. This was the experience of the Buddhist race after countless casualties. Just as that powerhouse went forward, the monk explained the use of the demon leech to Zichen and Qing-yi. That means the demon leech is almost invincible. Qing-yi asked, puzzled. The monk sighed. You can say that. Perhaps only a holy venerate can deal with it. Zichen looked forward. After that powerhouse went forward, he did not go to save people. Instead, he signaled for the others to stay away. Next, whether it was the injured monks or those who were preparing to enter the battle, they all sat down cross-legged and started chanting. When that Holy Spirit heard the chanting, he seemed to gradually forget his pain and sat down cross-legged. One could see that there was more and more black chi on his face. He was also chanting. A Buddhist light lit up around him. His face was full of compassion. If not for the black chi that occasionally appeared, he would look like a young monk who had obtained the true essence of the Buddhist Lord. Unfortunately, he was about to die. The monk also came forward. He looked at that Holy Spirit and put his palms together. Amitabha. Good. At this moment, everyone was compassionate, but they were also sad. They were helpless and could only watch as their fellow race member died. Qing-yi stood at the side and watched silently. She, who was powerless to do anything, felt deep veneration in her heart. Zichen walked forward, passed through the crowd, and arrived in front of the Holy Spirit. At a close distance, he squatted down to size up the other party, or rather, to size up the black gas on the other party's face. It was indeed demonic energy. His life force was flowing away, and the devil chi was growing stronger. Or rather, the devil leech was growing stronger. Zichen stretched out his hand as if he wanted to touch her. Zichen, what are you doing? Monk Shang shouted at the top of his lungs. The others who were chanting opened their eyes. When they saw this scene, their expressions changed. The chanting stopped. Almsgiver, you can't. The Buddha race almighty shouted. The demon leech has no way to break through it at the moment. You will die if you touch it. The Holy Spirit that had been devoured by the demon leech opened his eyes. When he saw Zichen right in front of him, his expression changed. He immediately moved back to keep a distance from Zichen. Almsgiver, don't go forward. This penniless monk has the demon leech in his body. There's no chance of survival, the Holy Spirit said. Zichen was still squatting there. He looked at the Holy Spirit and said, I want to try. Monk came in front of Zichen and grabbed him. Almost all the Buddha race's ability users have tried. No one has survived. Do you think you are more powerful than those almighty figures? Zichen smiled and said, Didn't you say that I'm the number one? Monk continued, The Lord has also tried. But after the demon leech enters the body, it becomes one with the host's life. There's no way to break it. The other monks nodded, especially the almighty figure. He was very worried that Zi-chan would mess around. Zi-chan looked at Monk and said seriously, "But I still want to try." "Are you serious?" Monk's expression changed. Zi-chan nodded and said, "I always feel that a miracle might happen with me." Monk shook his head again and said, "This isn't a joke. The Buddha race isn't weaker than the Holy Thunder clan. The almighty figures of the Buddha race have their own magical powers." The monk was purposely reminding Zi-chan not to overestimate his own strength. Zi-chan nodded again and said, "I know, but I still want to try. What if I succeed?" "All right." Monk didn't insist because he knew Zi-chan's temper very well. As long as it was decided by him, no one could change it. Qing-yi, who was at the side, was very worried. The almighty figure even came forward to persuade him. "Time waits for no one. If you don't speed up, it will be over." Zi-chan walked forward. The Holy Spirit with the demon, leech in his body, retreated again. "Almsgiver, I appreciate your kindness, but this penniless monk has let down the Buddha race. I don't want penniless monk to harm you again." Zi-chan's figure disappeared into thin air. The next moment he was beside penniless monk. He didn't hesitate to put his palm on penniless monk's shoulder. Dust fell to the ground. In an instant, the voices that were trying to stop him disappeared. There seemed to be an instant of silence in the air. There were no less than 10 almighty figures of the Buddha race standing in the surroundings, silently. They all knew Zi-chan's identity and wanted to stop him. But unfortunately, Zi-chan was faster. Now they could only hope for a miracle. Qing-yi looked at Zi-chan. Compared to the others, who were worried, her eyes were filled with more anticipation. This was because she had guessed what Zi-chan was relying on. Now she wanted to see it. Just as Zi-chan put his palm on penniless monk's shoulder, a portion of the demon leech that had been devouring penniless monk split off and went toward Zi-chan. It was as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, it could enter Zi-chan's body. However, at this moment, a golden light lit up between Zi-chan's fingers. It was like the sturdiest wall in the world, blocking the demon leech on the other side. No matter how the demon leech twisted and moved forward, it couldn't break through the golden light. This was Zi-chan's soul power, the soul power of the underworld, ghost-devouring soul. Seeing this scene, everyone's eyes lit up as if they had seen a miracle. In fact, this was already a miracle. Regardless of whether Zi-chan could save penniless monk or not, this move alone proved that Zi-chan wouldn't die. Of course, defense wasn't Zi-chan's goal, just as his soul power blocked those demon leeches. More soul power appeared at Zi-chan's fingertips. It was like a thin golden thread that entered penniless monk's body. Then these threads found the demon leech and tied it up layer by layer. Penniless monk's face was filled with pain. Zi-chan said, "Hold on a little longer. We'll be fine once we find the others." At this moment, even though Zi-chan was very careful, he still caused great damage to penniless monk because this was an external invasion. Zi-chan's soul power spread through every meridian in penniless monk's body. Once he found traces of the demon leech, he would tie it up until the last demon leech was caught. Then, Zi-chan began to pull the line as if he was fishing. The pain increased by more than 100 times, and penniless monk let out a painful cry. Chapter 4165. There was silence all around as everyone held their breaths. Whether a miracle would happen or not depended on the next moment. Xing Yuan closed his mouth and clenched his teeth. Wisps of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. At this moment, he felt that this was the most painful thing in the world. Zi-chan was tense. After all, this was the first time he used soul power to do such a delicate thing. He couldn't afford to be careless. Sweat dripped down his forehead. Qing-yi's eyes were bright. The dark, ghost-devouring soul technique from the Holy Talisman realm was indeed extraordinary. Xing Yuan screamed again and almost fainted. Zi-chan raised his palm. Streams of black light swirled in the center of his palm, twisting and turning continuously. Outside the black light, there were circles of golden threads, which were Zi Chen's soul power. After the demonic leech was extracted, Sheng Yuan fell to the ground and his aura was extremely weak. The others wanted to go forward to check, but they didn't dare to because they weren't sure if all the demonic leeches had been extracted. "I'm fine now. Just rest well and recover my vitality," Zi Chen said as he wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. When the others heard this, they put their palms together and bowed with gratitude in their eyes. The demonic leech in his palm was shrinking bit by bit until it completely disappeared. Everyone's expression changed again, thinking that the demonic leech had entered Zi Chen's body. "I've refined it." The golden light in Zi Chen's palm disappeared, and he stood up. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief and thanked him again. Xing Yuan had already fainted due to his weakness. Before he could thank Zi Chen, he was carried away. Tyrant came forward and wanted to pat Zi Chen's shoulder, but he thought of something and shrank back. "You're really something, kid. You've really created a miracle. How about this? I'll appoint you as an elder of the Buddha race. From now on, you can stay in the Buddhist domain and develop. Don't go back to your Holy Thunder clan." This was against the rules, but at this moment, many mighty figures didn't say anything. If Zi Chen was really willing to stay, they would be happy to make an exception for him. Zi Chen smiled and said, "Let's go inside and have a look." After cupping his fists at the crowd, Zi Chen followed Tyrant and another Almighty into the battlefield. The news of Zi Chen saving a saint source had already spread throughout the Buddhist domain, causing a huge commotion, because this was the first time in history that a Holy Spirit had been saved. After entering the battlefield, Zi Chen saw many Holy Spirits guarding the entrance. According to Tyrant, they were there to prevent the devil race from attacking this place. Then, the four of them walked towards the center of the battlefield. Zi Chen did not ask why he had come to the battlefield. He thought it was because the Buddhas were being hospitable and wanted to bring Zi Chen to see the secrets of the Buddha. "Buddha Lord, Shengming has brought Zi Chen into the battlefield." A Holy Spirit of the Buddha race came to the Buddha Lord and reported the latest situation. The Buddha Lord was meditating with his eyes closed. He nodded gently. The Holy Spirit monks said, "There is one more thing. Zi Chen saved the saint source of the demon leech." The Buddha Lord opened his eyes. "Did you find out the reason?" The Holy Spirit monks said, according to the people present, Zi Chen did not use any special means. He only used his own soul power. The demon leech is not ordinary. It is also a big problem for the devil race. Zi Chen's soul power could resist it. Do you know what kind of soul power it was? "I don't know, but it should be related to thunder." The Holy Spirit monks said, "Could it be because of the power of thunder? After all, thunder naturally suppresses evil. Maybe we can find some reinforcements from the Holy Thunder clan." The Buddha Lord shook his head and said, "Impossible." The Holy Spirit monks were stunned. In fact, they did not understand why the Buddha Lord wanted Zi Chen to go to the battlefield. After all, there was nothing but blood there. As for resources, Zi Chen did not lack them. Otherwise, he would not have brought so many Holy Thunder demon bones for free. The Buddha Lord raised his hand and the Holy Spirit monks left. It depends on your luck here. If you are lucky, you can meet several devils in a day. If you are unlucky, you cannot meet any for several days. Along the way, Monk was still explaining. Occasionally, he would talk about his battles here. After wandering around for half a day, the four of them found nothing. Monk lost interest and said, "Let's go back. I guess our luck is not with us today." Zi Chen nodded. He did not care. Qing Yi was even more indifferent. She just felt a little regretful that she could not see the devil race with her own eyes. Shengming, who had been silent, suddenly said, "Since we are here, why don't we go to Carefree Mountain to have a look?" Carefree Mountain? Monk's expression changed. Zi-chan saw the change in Monk's expression and asked, "What is that place?" Tyrant said, "It's a place where the demons often appear. Most of our people are in the vicinity, and every once in a while we'll go to Mount Carefree to investigate and sweep the area to prevent the demons from forming a climate there. The last time I came back with serious injuries, I followed the other senior brothers to that place and went on a killing spree." Zi-chan glanced at Shengming and said, "Since we are already here, let's go take a look." Shengming put his palms together and said, "Benefactor is kind." Only then did Qing-yi realize that there was a reason why this monk suddenly came here to fawn over them. Even evil good monk was kept in the dark. After advancing for another 15 minutes, energy waves rolled in front of them. There were fluctuations of battle. A 3-star holy spirit of the Buddha race was running away. He was holding a saraira in his hand. The saraira was emitting a defensive Buddhist light. His opponent was a 4-star devil. He had a horn on his head. Occasionally, a ray of devil light would appear from the horn. It was like a black lightning bolt, striking the protective light of the saraira. The protective light was in imminent danger. However, it seemed to be able to block those attacks every time. The battlefield was still some distance away from them. They saw everything with their sole remembrance. Monk took the initiative to increase his speed and flew forward. After Monk left, Shengming apologized and said, "Benefactor, junior brother didn't know about this. It was all Buddha Lord's idea." "Buddha Lord?" Zi-chan was surprised. "Buddha Lord wants you to go to Carefree Mountain to take a look. As for what Buddha Lord's intention is, we don't know." Shengming said again. Zi-chan nodded. At this moment, Monk had already arrived at the battlefield. He was also a 3-star devil. However, he was not afraid of the 4-star devil. His Buddhist power was much purer than his companions. As the seal landed, the Buddhist light formed a huge handprint and shot forward. The 4-star devil was sent flying by the handprint. The 4-star devil seemed to have sensed danger and did not continue to attack. Instead, he turned around and fled. "Where do you think you are going?" Monk chased after him without hesitation. Of course, he did not forget to remind his companions to go back and heal their injuries. As for Monk, he did not care. That was because the invincible Zi-chan was following behind him. He would not have any problems here. Chapter 4166. Kill. The monk's shout came from far away. Buddhist power surged in the sky, golden light shooting everywhere, forming rolling tides like golden sea waves. "Don't run if you have the guts." "Fighting with your Lord Buddha. You should feel proud. Ha! Eat your Lord Buddha's punch." A palm print appeared in the sky, smacking down toward the fiend. "Eat Lord Buddha's sword again." A large blade formed from Buddhist power drew a streak of golden light, sending the 4-star fiend flying. The 3 people followed behind. Although their vision could not reach, their soul force could see clearly. Qing-yi was smiling, looking at Shengming from time to time, discovering that the other party's face was somewhat black. This friend of Zi-chan's was really an extremely rare oddity. Zi-chan followed silently. Not meeting for many years, the monk was still the same monk, not changing at all. Of course, his realm was still so weak too, not changing at all. Rather, it was Shengming who did not seem to understand the monk too well, appearing very embarrassed at this moment. If Zi-chen asked him one more time that the Buddhist race's disciples all had such headstrong personalities, the other party would probably find a place to hide in shame. That 4-star fiend seemed to have been beaten by the monk until he lost his temper and could only run continuously. Carefree Mountain, an enormous mountain peak, tallest, most dangerous, and the steepest. It was the tallest of all the nearby mountain peaks. Fiends frequently gathered here, and the Buddhist race also attached great importance to this place, often gathering a group of powerhouses to come here for a baptism. Furthermore, in the vicinity, there are also Buddhist race 9-star holy spirits holding down the fort. It was just that they had been hiding in the dark all along. At this moment, a black-robed person was currently lying on the summit. He raised his head and looked at the dusky sky, muttering softly. Legend has it that the sky in the Holy Spirit realm is very blue. The water is very clear. There are beautiful sunrises and sunsets that never set. There are countless cultivation resources and also infinite happiness. They have everything, but they don't have any worries. He extended 5 fingers and covered his face, looking at the sky through the gaps of his fingers. It's said that that place is countless times better than the fiend race, really enviable. Sigh, why am I worried again? I'm worryless. Worryless mountains, worryless. Worryless sat up and took a look around. This place was covered in blood everywhere. Some was already dried. Some was still very fresh, seemingly left not long ago. He stood up and patted his robes, as if he disliked the ground here. At this moment, 3 people appeared in his field of vision. One of them was a demon, while the other 2 were monks. The 2 of them were chasing after a single person. Weo smiled. He smiled very happily. Both sides gradually approached each other until they reached the sky above Mount Carefree. Weo just looked at them, but they didn't seem to see Weo below. The demon who had been running away suddenly turned around and said, "Baldies, let's stop here. There's no need to send us off." "Humph, demon, today is the day you die," a 5-star Holy Spirit monk said. The demon picked his ear and chuckled. Before you, there were dozens of Baldies who said the same thing. What? The expressions of the 2 monks changed. For some reason, they had a bad feeling in their hearts. "Look, you scared him, didn't you?" Emo Lubu quickly apologized. Weo's voice rang out as he walked towards the sky. Only now did the 2 of them see each other, and their expressions changed again. Subconsciously, the 2 of them each took out a Sarira to defend themselves. After Weo saw the Sarira, he clicked his tongue and sighed. Look at him, look at him. This is called the realm of life, don't you know? He took out a big gift as soon as he met us. Turning his head to look at Emo Lubu, Weo said unhappily, "He's so polite. How can we not be sensible? Come, show us our gratitude." Emo Lubu immediately cupped his fists and said, "Thank you, Brother Baldies, for sending me here and preparing such a generous gift. I, Emo Lubu, am eternally grateful. Please don't worry, Brother Baldies. We'll definitely make full use of your belongings and won't waste anything. Transmit the message. Retreat." The 2 Holy Spirits immediately retreated. At the same time, they activated the light of the Sarira to form a protection. This was their greatest reliance in this place. Every Buddhist disciple who entered this place to fight would bring a Sarira with them. The Sarira could protect them to a great extent here, giving them a great chance of survival. Look, there's not much meaning in this. You've just arrived and you're leaving without saying anything. Moreover, we're all so polite and courteous. You should at least say a few words, right? For example, kneel down and beg me to accept the Sarira and spare your lives? Who exactly are you? I'm Weo. In the sky, Buddhist power surged. The 2 retreated quickly. This weirdo who spoke gave them an extremely dangerous feeling. But in the next moment, a thick black fog rose and drowned out the Buddhist light. The Buddhist light seemed to be struggling, but like a flickering candle flame in the dark night, it could be extinguished at any time. When the black fog disappeared, there were 2 more puddles of fresh blood on Mount Weo. As for the 2 corpses, they were dragged away by Emo Lubu along with the 2 Sariras. Not bad. Tell the others to continue. Weo said. Yes. Emo Lubu's figure disappeared. Weo lay back on the mountain peak and looked up at the sky. I've already told them my name, but they weren't surprised at all. Is it because I'm not famous enough? Suddenly, Weo's eyes lit up. Another one. Why is it only 3-star? What's Emo Luning doing? Weo had just sat up, but he lay back down again, very dissatisfied. Then his expression changed again. Big fish, it's a big fish. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Oh my, you can really run. Your Lord Zung can barely catch up. The monk looked at the 4-star demon in front of him. It's just that Lord Zung doesn't understand. Where are you bringing your Lord Zung to? Monk saw the huge mountain peak in front and said, It's Mount Wuyo. You're taking me to Mount Wuyo? While talking, the two didn't stop. When they reached the peak of Mount Wuyo, the 4-star demon said, You know, I did it on purpose. Monk put his palms together and said seriously, Your Lord Zung is so discerning. How can I not see through your tricks? Mo Luaning snorted and said, You're really arrogant. Monk corrected him. Benefactor, you're lying. This is called confidence, not arrogance. You led me here, but you didn't know I was playing with you along the way. It's like walking a dog. At this moment, a voice came from below. Thank you, thank you. It was Wuyo. He was flying over. Monk saw Wuyo and wasn't nervous at all. You're welcome. Who are you? Wuyo said, I'm Wuyo. Monk said, I'm Shan Xia. Wuyo was stunned. I didn't ask for your name. Chapter 4167. Wuyo smiled. His smile was very happy. The monk also smiled. He was very pleased with himself. At this moment, the two of them seemed to have the same look in their eyes. They looked at each other as if they were idiots. Wuyo said, It seems that you're very confident. Monk said, Of course I'm confident. So I want you to remember that your death is because of me. 3 streams of light came from afar and landed in front of Monk. Xingyuan looked around and found something unusual. He cried out, Something's wrong. Something happened here. Monk was puzzled. Xingyuan said, The aura of the senior brother guarding here has disappeared. Monk's face changed. That was a 9-star saint spirit. Not to mention how powerful his combat strength was. He had many life-saving means. It could be said that the people of the Buddha clan who came here could be seriously injured, but it was impossible to kill them. But now, the aura of the 9-star saint spirit had disappeared, and a demon was standing on the mountain peak. What did this mean? Monk had a bad feeling in his heart. Look, you can't laugh now, right? Wuyo pointed at himself and said, And I'm still so happy. I thought it was strange before, but I didn't know the reason. Now I know that our people didn't meet anyone along the way. Monk's face changed several times. Could it be that they were also killed? Wuyo snapped his fingers at Monk. That's right. Those nearby should be dead, so we found some bait from afar. But this time I'm the most satisfied. Wuyo looked at Zi Chen and the other two. The more he looked, the more satisfied he was. Mo Luaning, you've done a good job. Mo Luaning, who led Monk here, was very excited. Wuyo waved his hand, and Mo Luaning immediately retreated. He stood aside and prepared to collect the 4 corpses. Zi Chen's eyes fell on Mount Wuyo below. With his soul perception, he found something strange. Are the 3 of you coming together? Or all together? Wuyo said with a smile, but his eyes lingered on Qingyi and Xingyuan. He ignored Zi Chen. He didn't need to look at a mere 7-star saint spirit. Unexpectedly, the woman, who didn't look weak, actually took the initiative to say, This has nothing to do with me. I'm just here for sightseeing. She immediately took a step back and stood next to the monk. Oh, that's interesting. Wuyu smiled. Then he looked at Xingyuan and said, Then it's you. Xingyuan put his palms together and said, Amitba, I'm just a guide this time. The saint source also retreated. This made Wuyo even more surprised. He could only look at Zi Chen, who had not looked at him directly even once. What about you? Is the excuse a passerby or something else? Zi Chen took a step forward and said, I am the one who wants your life. Wuyo was slightly taken aback. Is your brain damaged? Are you starting to talk nonsense? Zi Chen pointed down and said, That blood contains pure Buddhist power. You must have killed quite a few Buddhas here. right? Therefore, you are destined to die. To be so arrogant, he's either a fool or an idiot, Weo said disdainfully. Even though he said that, he still made his move first. Demonic chi rolled and instantly moved forward like a black fog. Qing Yi and the other two retreated and took the initiative to give up the battlefield. Ziqin was immediately shrouded by the black fog. The black fog was rolling violently, and sometimes powerful aftershocks were stirred up. This is not ordinary demonic chi. This is called demonic cloud insect. Weo looked at Ziqin, who was already shrouded in the black fog, and explained, "Once the demonic cloud insect attaches itself to you, you will die. That's how the 9-star cultivator died last time." Qing Yi and the other two retreated again. They had no intention of helping. The surging black fog gradually quieted down. Weo looked at this scene and was even more disdainful. "This is your strength? There were 2 5-star cultivators in front of you who could still struggle a little, but you can't even make a splash. It seems that in this place, without relics, your combat strength will be greatly reduced." Suddenly, the black fog began to shrink rapidly and disappeared quickly. "This is impossible." Weo's expression couldn't help but change. He could no longer maintain his previous calmness because he sensed that the demonic cloud insect's life force was disappearing. Ziqin stepped forward and walked out of the black fog. The black fog, which had already solidified, fell to the ground. Weo's expression turned cold when he saw that all the demonic cloud insects he refined had died. "Do you know how precious those demonic cloud insects are? How dare you kill them all?" Ziqin said indifferently. "At this time, shouldn't you be worried about your own life the most?" The two rushed forward at almost the same time. "Die!" Weo threw a punch. Endless demonic chi surged, and the whole world became dark. Ziqin also threw a punch, and there was the sound of rolling thunder. When the two fists met, the whole world fell silent. Then a powerful explosion occurred, and countless waves of chi retreated with a powerful force. Weo's body was sent flying for hundreds of meters. After stabilizing his body, his expression changed again. In the distance, Mo Luaning, who was waiting to collect the corpse, also had a shocked expression. Last time, the 9-star divine spirit secretly guarding this place couldn't send His Excellency flying. He didn't expect that this person, who was only in the 7-star realm, could have such means. At this moment, Mo Luaning had some misconceptions. Could it be that having hair made the spirit race stronger? After all, their opponents had always been hairless. Waves of pain came from his right arm, so Weo didn't want to continue to fight with his opponent. If they exchanged another blow, his arm would probably be shattered. In terms of physical strength, he was obviously weaker. Weo had killed many 7-star spirit race, but this was the first time he had killed someone with such powerful strength. Since attacking didn't work, he decided to attack from afar. Demonic chi surged around his body and gradually turned into a black flame. He looked at Ziqin and said coldly, "This is the demon race's positive demonic fire. Although it's still 1 level away from the highest level 9, it's enough to kill a 7-star like you. Before you die, do you have any last words?" "Flames? I have some too." Thunder fire appeared in Ziqin's palm, and an ancient aura began to spread. "I'll take these as your last words." The demonic fire on Weo's body twisted and left his body, turning into a huge palm, and went straight for Ziqin. Demonic flame palm. Not only was its power extraordinary, but its speed was also its strength. Almost in an instant, it was in front of Ziqin. However, just as it was about to grab Ziqin, a palm made of thunder fire appeared out of thin air and collided with the demonic flame palm. Boom! The 2 huge palm prints collapsed at the same time, forming a powerful wave that flooded the surroundings, including Ziqin. Wu snorted coldly once more, and then his pupils constricted. He saw a straight ray of light suddenly rush out from the turbulent energy, like a golden lightning, and arrived in front of Wuyo. Wuyo's expression changed drastically, and a light screen appeared in front of him. The golden light approached with an indomitable will. Slap! The light screen shattered instantly. The golden light disappeared. Wuyo's body was suspended in midair, and his chest was pierced by a black spear. The turbulent energy dissipated, and layers of ripples surged for nearly 1,000 feet before disappearing. The world suddenly became quiet, so quiet that it was hard for people to get used to it. Emo Luoning covered his mouth and tried very hard not to cry out in surprise. The invincible master in his eyes had been pierced through the chest by a 7-star spirit race. Behind him, Sheng Yuan shouted Amitabha. It was the first time Tyrant saw Zichen fight. Although it was expected, he was still very surprised. Qing Yi's expression changed slightly, as if she was a little surprised. You're very fast, but unfortunately, compared to me, you're still a little slow. A faint voice sounded. It was Wuyo. It came from the sky. Wuyo, who was in front of the spear, turned into a piece of demonic jade and shattered with a bang. Zichen looked up at the sky. He saw a huge net falling from the sky. What made up the net was not threads, but countless blades connected head to tail. Wuyo stood in the sky and looked down at Zichen. His gaze was cold, as if he was looking at a dead man. The space around Zichen was being compressed intensely, making it impossible for him to escape. It seemed like he could only be trapped in the net. Sheng Yuan was a little worried. As a mighty figure of the Buddha race, he did not notice when Wuyo dodged. If the two of them were to fight, he would have to admit that he was already dead. He was a little worried for Zichen. At this moment, Zichen put away his spear, and a sacred talisman brush appeared in his hand. He drew the brush. A straight ray of light shot out from the tip of the brush, as if it was the most beautiful ray of light in the world, rising into the sky. Wherever the ray of light passed, the space was split into two. Since it could even slice space, this black net was naturally nothing. The net was split in the middle, but the ray of light did not dissipate. Instead, it headed straight for Wuyo. Swoosh! The ray of light pierced through Wuyo's body. Blood splattered in the sky, but Wuyo's body was nowhere to be seen. Is this guy playing with disappearance? Tyrant muttered. Zichen's gaze fell on Mount Wuyo below. Since you want to lure me over, let's go take a look. Zichen descended from the sky and landed on Mount Wuyo. Tyrant, I'll leave that guy to you. It was Emo Luoning who did not manage to escape in time. Don't worry, he's just a 4-star. Tyrant laughed and rushed towards Emo Luoning. Come, let's see how I'll kill you. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Zichen landed on Mount Wuyo. Qing Yi and Sheng Yuan followed him, and no one cared about Tyrant anymore. Is there something unusual here? Seeing that Zichen's gaze was fixed on a certain spot, Sheng Yuan asked. Zichen pointed the sacred talisman brush in his hand forward. Ripples surged out and a passage appeared. Sheng Yuan's expression changed. At this moment, he finally understood the Buddha, Lord's meaning. Zichen put away the sacred talisman brush, took out his spear and shield and strode in. He was on high alert, but he did not encounter any surprise attacks during this period. When Zichen arrived at the interior of the mountain, what he saw was not billowing demonic aura, but pure Buddhist power. It was as if he had arrived at a certain Buddhist hall. Chapter 4168. The passage was deep, but it was not damp or dark. The surrounding Buddhist power was pure and dense, with a sacred aura. It was as if they had arrived at one of the Buddhist temples in the Buddhist city. Zichen was slightly stunned. This was not what he had imagined. Sheng Yuan, who had followed Zichen in, saw this scene and his expression changed. As a member of the Buddhist race, he knew very well what this meant. For a moment, his face was filled with grief, and even his body began to tremble. Zichen felt the abnormality behind him and turned to look at Sheng Yuan. Sheng Yuan said, "To create a place with Buddhist power comparable to a Buddhist temple in an unfamiliar place, the first requirement is a huge Buddhist formation." Buddhist formation? Zichen said with some surprise. "Are you saying that a member of the Buddhist race has betrayed us?" Sheng Yuan said bitterly, "A Buddhist formation is not something that can only be created by a member of the Buddhist race. It can be created by a Buddhist object." Zichen said, "You mean the Saraira of the Buddhist race? There's a formation made of Saraira here. How many Saraira would that require?" A Saraira represented the life of a Buddhist Holy Spirit. The amount of Saraira that could be used to create a formation was unimaginable. Such a big thing had happened, but the Buddhist race had no idea. What did this mean? What was Wu Yu's intention for purposely luring Zichen here? After Wu Yu entered the underground, he went straight to the core. That stroke earlier had clearly split his body into two. There was an independent space under the core. There were more than a dozen demons in this space, all of them at the 9-star level. In the center, there was an existence shrouded in a black robe, sitting cross-legged. There was a Buddhist formation below him. The formation was completely made of Saraira, and it rippled with boundless Buddhist light. There were nearly 1,000 of them. "Sir," Wu Yu walked in and bowed respectfully to the black-robed man. "You are injured," the black-robed man said indifferently. "There is a powerful figure outside. I can't beat him, so I let him in." "What?" the black-robed man said in a serious tone. "You let an outsider into our secret place. Do you know what this means?" The gazes of the others that looked at Wu Yu also became ice-cold. This was the greatest secret of the demon race for tens of thousands of years. What was the point of drawing the enemy here? Wu Yu explained, "There is a 9-star cultivator inside. As long as we take his relics, our mission will be considered complete. Luring them into this place and directly opening the door is like killing 2 birds with 1 stone." There was only one last high-level Sura left before the demon race's grand plan would succeed. A 9-star one was just right. The gazes of the others that looked at Wu Yu warmed up quite a bit. "Where are they?" the black-robed man asked. "We should be here soon," Wu Yu said. "Why didn't you say so earlier? I'm going to kill them now." A demon said angrily as he walked out. "Don't be impulsive," Wu Yu shouted. "He's really strong." "That's because you are too weak." As soon as he finished speaking, his body flew backward and smashed into the Buddha formation. Everyone's expression changed as they looked towards the entrance. "I was wondering where this was." "So it was you who lured me to the Devil's Denver," a faint voice sounded as Zichen walked in. When everyone saw Zichen, their expressions changed. He was actually a 7-star cultivator. They looked at Wu Yu. Wu Yu said somewhat shamefully, "That's him." They looked at their fallen comrade. He coughed up a mouthful of blood, and his face immediately turned pale. Qing Yi and Sheng Yuan walked in. When they saw the number of people here, they were somewhat surprised. The black-robed man still had his back to the crowd. Both sides fell into silence, but this silence only lasted for a moment. "Kill!" A voice that no one knew who shouted broke the silence in this place. In an instant, all the demons moved. However, they didn't attack Zichen but Sheng Yuan. Sheng Yuan's Saraira was something they had to get. Qing Yi quickly retreated and left through the entrance. Her reaction was extremely fast, and she had no intention of fighting. In contrast, Sheng Yuan called out a Buddhist name and humanely said, "Benefactor, take care of yourself before retreating." Zichen stood at the entrance, a spear in one hand and a shield in the other, blocking all the attacks. In the next moment, a fierce battle broke out. The long spear in Zichen's hand rippled and quickly moved forward, like a golden lightning. A 9-star demon's body was penetrated. This was only an external injury, so it shouldn't be able to kill a 9-star saint spirit. However, in the next moment, a strong force of death was stimulated from the long spear and poured into the demon's sea of consciousness. The The demon's sea of consciousness seemed to have encountered a destructive storm. His powerful soul was constantly being torn apart, shattered, and eventually destroyed. This was Zi Chen's true combat strength. In the previous battle with Wuyo, he was actually still holding back. Zi Chen raised the light shield and blocked the attacks. Then, the long spear went straight for the chest of the second demon like a flood dragon. A long sword suddenly appeared in the demon's hand. He held the sword in front of him and blocked Zi Chen's spear. The powerful rebound force sent the demon's body flying backward. However, he also saved his life because of this. The battle was still going on, and powerful fluctuations continued to surge in this space that wasn't very big. The black-robed man was still sitting cross-legged with his back to everyone. The Saraira Buddha formation under him was intact. Qing Yi and Sheng Yuan stood outside. The two could no longer see the situation inside. They could only sense the abnormalities through the energy fluctuations. The two of them didn't worry about Zi Qin. They seemed to have great confidence in him. The battle lasted for a quarter of an hour. The energy fluctuations slowly disappeared. When it calmed down, the two of them walked inside. At first glance, there were corpses everywhere. All the demons had been killed by Zi Qin. Zi Qin, on the other hand, was leaning against a corner. His spear and shield were placed beside him. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. His face was very pale. Amitabha. Excellent, excellent. Sheng Yuan put his palms together and chanted the name of Buddha. Qing Yi, on the other hand, looked at Zi Qin. So miserable. Zi Qin wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said, "These people are not weak." Not only were they 9 stars, but they were also the best of the 9 stars. Zi Qin naturally had a hard time fighting them. Zi Qin stood up again, picked up the spear and shield again, and then looked ahead warily. The black-robed man still didn't turn around, even if his companions died one after another. He didn't speak, didn't attack, and didn't even use the slightest bit of soul power. He was like a wooden man. Amitabha. Benefactor. The sea of bitterness is boundless. Turn back, and you will be saved. Xing Yuan looked at the black-robed man and said, "The sea of bitterness is boundless, but turning back and you will be saved." The black-robed man in front finally spoke. His voice carried some vicissitudes and seemed to be tired. His body turned, revealing the face under the black robe. It was very old. Chapter 4169. Hearing Xing Yuan's exclamation, Zi Chen was surprised. Did they know each other? The black robe slid down his head, revealing the true appearance of the black-robed man. It was a bald monk. Zi Chen's expression changed. He was very surprised because the leader of the demons was a bald monk. Qing Yi was also very surprised. "Shu Shengde, why are you here?" Xing Yuan recognized him and said in disbelief, "Xing Yuan, long time no see." Monk Shengde smiled as if he saw an old friend. "Shu, why are you here?" Xing Yuan couldn't accept the scene in front of him. One called him Shu, while the other called him Shu. There seemed to be a problem in seniority, but Xing Yuan didn't care about it. In the Buddha clan, and even in the entire Saint Spirit realm, because there were many forces and many seniority, most of the seniority was unified by realm. As Sheng Yuan, they were brothers of the same sect. Xing Yuan used to be called Wuyuan, and Shengde was his Shu. After he became a Xing Yuan, he became a Sheng Yuan in the Buddha clan, the same generation as Shengde. But in his heart, he had always respected this legendary Shu and had never changed the way he addressed him. Shu Shengde was very famous in the Buddha clan. Even though he had fallen many years ago, he was still not forgotten. At least, he was not forgotten by the people on this battlefield. Because the first large-scale battle was because Shu Shengde, a 9-star Xing Yuan, had died on Carefree Mountain. At that time, Shu Shengde was the first to discover the secret of Carefree Mountain and destroyed the demon's invasion plan. Xing Yuan looked at the relics on the ground and then at Shirshu Shang just sitting cross-legged on them. His heart was very complicated and he didn't know what to say. Those relics were all disciples of the Buddha clan. He couldn't even blame them. The hero of the past had suddenly become an accomplice of the devil race, and he was constantly killing his own fellow disciples. "Monk, did you do this?" At this moment, Zichen suddenly spoke. Xingde looked at Zichen and asked, "Benefactor, have you recovered?" Zichen said, "I haven't fully recovered yet, but it should be enough to deal with you alone." Monk Xingde put his palms together and said, "Lao Na has been here for too long. I didn't know that such a young hero had appeared in the Saint Spirit Jia. How should I address this young benefactor?" Zichen said, "Holy Thunder Clan, Zichen." Monk Xingde said, "Looks like you are indeed a young hero. Lao Na admires you, admires you." Zichen looked at Xingde and said, "Can you explain what is going on?" "Would you like to hear it?" Xingde raised his head and looked at Zichen. "Actually, I don't really want to hear it," Zichen said, "but I always feel that it's a bit of a pity to beat you to death like this. Why don't you share your story with us, so we can have an audience?" Seeing this, Sheng Yuan's eyes lit up again. "I'll have to start many years ago. It's a long story. I wonder if Benefactor has the patience. Don't worry, it's good that you're a bit older. At least you'll be able to die a bit later." Shengde smiled. "Benefactor is very kind." There was a look of reminiscence in the old monk's eyes. Many years ago, the Buddhist race had just discovered this battlefield. Because they had never dealt with the demon race before, they suffered great losses in their first battle. The battle was extremely tragic. Countless Buddhist race experts died. At that time, the demon race had occupied this place for a long time. This battlefield could be considered their camp, and we were just outsiders. After countless years of battle, the Buddhist race relied on the fearless sacrifice of countless disciples to gradually exterminate the demon race. This was the first time Shangde had heard about the early days of the battlefield, so he listened very carefully. Zichen and Qing didn't disturb him. They just followed the old monk's train of thought. The demon race was very strong, and they were good at bewitching people. The Buddhist race disciples suffered great losses. As for those who gave birth to inner demons, some could be reborn, and some would die under them. The old monk's smile suddenly became a bit strange, and some would be assimilated and controlled by inner demons. Zichen said, "So you are the latter?" The old monk said, sort of. Zichen was somewhat puzzled. What did he mean by sort of? That year, my junior apprentice brother and I came to this battlefield to participate in the battle. We saw the demon race's defeat, but the clever junior apprentice brother guessed that the demon race seemed to have another hiding place. So, when the two of us were fighting, we carefully looked for suspicious places. Finally, we found this carefree mountain. What followed was the first battle of extermination. It was recorded in the history of the Buddhist race, so Shangde was very clear about it. In that battle, the Buddhist race had suffered great losses, but they had destroyed the demon race's plan to invade. Since then, Carefree Mountain had been the focus of the Buddhist race's attention. But this was what the world knew. What Shangde was about to tell everyone next was another secret. After the battle began, Junior Apprentice Brother felt that this was not the demon race's secret place, or it could be said that this was just bait deliberately used by the demon race. At that time, Junior Apprentice Brother decided to take the risk and use the demon race's inner demons to control him. He joined the demon race and unearthed the demon race's greatest secret, completely destroying the demon race's scheme. The expressions of the three changed at the same time. Obviously, the truth was about to surface, but I was the senior apprentice brother. How could I watch junior apprentice brother take the risk? So I took the initiative to trigger the inner demons and used the first battle to fake my death, forever staying on this battlefield. Once again recalling the past, the old monk's smile became somewhat bitter. At that time, junior apprentice brother and I discussed many countermeasures, many possibilities, and many secret signals. But we still underestimated the demon race's strength and their vigilance. For many years, we still couldn't find an opportunity, so the inner demons kept invading us, causing us to completely lose our chance. The old monk let out a sigh. I lost contact with junior apprentice brother, and for the sake of the demon race's so-called test, I walked further and further down the path of becoming a demon. In the end, I was unable to turn back. I knew you old thief were up to no good. You ruined our demon race's great plan. We won't let you off. A cold voice suddenly rang out. One of the people who had fallen dead suddenly rushed toward the entrance. It was Carefree. He had actually faked his death. Zi-Chin turned around, wanting to chase after him. Let him go, the old monk said. I've already grasped all the secrets of this place. I've also learned of the demon race's plan to invade the Saint Spirit realm. This time, I've already completely destroyed it. Of course, Zi-Chin wouldn't listen to the old monk because the monk was still outside. Who knew whether or not Carefree would kill the monk in a fit of anger after he went out? He didn't think that a mere 3-star monk could block the opponent's attack. But as soon as Zi-Chin moved, Carefree's voice rang out. Hee, so there was one hidden here. Then I'll use you to exchange for the demon race's great plan. Chapter 4170. Aren't you surprised? Aren't you pleasantly surprised? I'm back. Wuyo grabbed the monk by the neck and walked back in. He looked at the people in the hall with a smile, especially Zi-Chin. Zi-Chin sighed and said, You shouldn't have come back. Isn't it better to just leave and live? Why do you have to send yourself to death? Bah, live. Today, not only do I want to live, but I also want to carry out the demon race's 10,000-year plan. As for sending yourself to death, you're talking about this idiot, aren't you? Waiting for me to catch him? Wuyo grabbed the monk's neck with all his strength. The monk's face was filled with pain. He looked at Zi-Chin and said, My eyesight has been extraordinary since I was young. I can see many things that ordinary people can't. So you don't have to deny my words. I can see that he's very important to you. Now listen to my orders. If you want him to live, kill this 9-star. Zi-Chen's expression was a little strange. Are you serious? Wuyo said angrily. Do you think I'll joke with you at this time? If you don't do as I say, he'll have to die. Are you sure? Zi-Chen looked at him. Wuyo exerted strength again. There were already cracking sounds coming from the monk's neck, as if it was about to break. The monk also cried out in pain. Wuyo was very satisfied. He looked at Zi-Chin proudly. What's the choice? It's up to you. Shangming put his palms together. Amitabha, benefactor. Wuyo interrupted him. You have no right to speak here. Shut up. Shengming didn't say anything else. Qing Yi took 2 steps back. She used her actions to show that she didn't want to participate in this matter. Monk Shangda was like a storyteller. He also watched silently. Because there was no audience for the time being, he didn't continue. Everyone looked at Zi-Chin, waiting for his reply. Zi-Chin looked at the monk and said, I want to thank you for sacrificing yourself for the Buddha race. Would you be happy? The monk's eyes widened. Why? Are you trying to kill me? Zi-Chin said indifferently, Sacrifice is inevitable. Who among us doesn't sacrifice? Who among us? Listening to the conversation between the two, Wuyo suddenly had a bad feeling in his heart. At that moment, Zi-Chin made his move. The spear in his hand thrust forward with great force. He wasn't aiming at Wuyo, but at the monk. At such a close distance, the monk couldn't dodge in time, and his body was pierced through by the spear. Puff! The spear had completely penetrated the monk's body. The monk's eyes were wide open as he looked at Zi-Chin in disbelief. It was as if he couldn't believe that Zi-Chin would make a move just like that. He hadn't even finished his sentence. Zi-Chin stood in front of the monk, the other end of the spear almost touching the monk's body. "I told you, you shouldn't have come back." Chen loosened his grip on the spear and pushed it forward. The spear pierced through the monk's chest. Wuyo, who was standing behind the monk, took a few steps back. He grabbed his spear with both hands and stared at Chen. Earlier, the spear had not only pierced through the monk's body, it had also pierced through his body. His eyesight was not bad. He knew very well that this fellow before him cared a lot about that baldy. But how could this be? Amitabha. Sheng Ming and Sheng De chanted the name of Buddha at the same time. The monk fell to the ground. "Aren't you too ruthless? Do you have to make a move like this? I have plenty of ways to resolve this matter peacefully." Chen said, "Isn't this faster and more effective? Besides, you didn't lose anything other than a superficial wound, right? I've saved your trump card for you. Why aren't you thanking me?" "I'm thanking you for dying. You're just jealous. Jealous that your Lord Zeng is handsome and confident. Jealous that your Lord Zeng's Dharma is boundless." The monk praised himself and then began to heal his wounds. After all, it wasn't appropriate for the wound to keep bleeding. Chen's control of his strength was exquisite. The monk had indeed suffered a superficial wound. As for Wuyo, he was really dead this time. Chen walked to Wuyo's side, pulled out the spear, and put it away. He returned to his original spot and looked at the old monk, indicating for him to continue the story. Actually, the story was about to end at this point. Monk Xingde passed all kinds of tests and gained the trust of the devil race. So they brought him to the real secret place and shared the secrets of the devil race. Shengde used the Dharma he mastered to build a Saraira Buddhist formation here. He wanted to help the devil race open a path to the two worlds. Right now, he only needed a high-quality Saraira to open the path. Who would have thought that before he could get the last Saraira, Chen would come first and wipe them all out? Monk Shengde put his palms together and finished the story. Sheng Ming stood there, not knowing what to say. Qing Yi was touched. She also didn't know how to distinguish right from wrong in this matter. Chen said, "The story is very interesting. You can come with us." Shengde asked, "Benefactor, why don't you kill me directly?" Chen said, "This is a matter of the Buddha race. It should be arranged by the Buddha race. I have no right to interfere." Of course, he didn't want to interfere. Benefactor is very kind. Shingde's body suddenly burned with flames. It was supposed to be pure Buddha fire, but now it was mixed with black devil chi. He really didn't suppress his inner demons. "Martial uncle, what do you mean?" Sheng Ming said anxiously, "We'll talk about it when we get back." "We can't go back. It's also good to die here. After I die, destroy everything here and bring these Sarairas back. They are not contaminated." Shengde put his palms together and chanted a Buddhist name. The raging Buddha demon fire completely drowned him. Qing Yi was deeply touched. She could feel the power of the other party. It seemed that he was only half a step away from becoming a holy venerable. Once he overcame his inner demons, he might be able to take that half a step and become a holy venerable. Unfortunately, he made another choice. This monk's sin is unforgivable. This is the best outcome. The Buddha demon fire had completely swallowed Shengde. His voice came from the flames. Chen stood there, put his palms together, and bowed to the old monk. At this moment, his heart was filled with admiration for the old monk. He respected Shengde's choice. Sheng Ming and the good and evil monks sat down and began to chant for Shengde. A holy aura shrouded the surroundings. Even the corpses were glowing with Buddhist light. Chen and Qing Yi left. They didn't expect their trip to turn out like this. Actually, he didn't have to choose this path. He just has to be good. Qing Yi said, "This way, the Buddhist race might have another holy venerable." Chen shook his head and said, "After returning, he will keep blaming himself. In the end, he will either be swallowed by his inner demons or die of depression. However, the possibility of him advancing is not high." Why? Qing Yi asked in confusion. Are you sure he didn't kill those monks? He didn't kill them, but they died because of him. Each of those sarairas represented a holy spirit of the Buddhist race. Although that was the case, Zichun felt regretful. He said that he wanted to bring the old monk back. Wasn't he trying to give him a chance to live? Unfortunately, the old monk refused. He respected the other party's choice. An hour later, the monk and Sheng Ming walked out. There was a saraira in Sheng Ming's hand. It was emitting a demonic light. Chapter 41:71. Everything underground was destroyed. Sheng Ming brought the corpses out. As for Sheng De and Sheng Ling, there was only one bone-grinding relic left. On the way back, everyone was speechless. Even the talkative monk seemed to be silent. The truth of the past, the death of his fellow clansmen, and Sheng De made his heart heavy. After returning to the Buddha tribe, Sheng Ming went to see the Buddha Lord. Zichun and the other two returned to the monk's residence. Sheng Ming brought the bone-grinding relic and the other relics to the Buddha Lord and told him what happened. The Buddha Lord took the bone-grinding relic with a complicated expression. In the end, sighed. The Buddha Lord asked, "Did senior brother say anything?" Sheng Ming suddenly understood. That junior brother of his was the current Buddha Lord. And this time, the Buddha Lord allowed Zichun to enter the battlefield. It was definitely not a coincidence. He intended to let Zichun handle this matter. Perhaps the death of the 9-star clansman was a signal sent by Uncle Sheng De. As for why he did not send a large force to clean up, it should be because he was afraid of alerting the enemy. A world's strongest Zichun was just right. Sheng Ming shook his head. Even when he left in the end, Uncle Sheng did not say anything. The Buddha Lord waved his hand gently. Sheng Ming left the room. He had other arrangements for the other relics. Zichun planned to stay here for a few more days. After that, he bid farewell to the monk. After all, the monk was only at the 3-star realm. He still needed time to grow. Who knew that at this moment, Sheng Ming came to look for Zichun again. This time, he sent a message to Zichun. The message came from a few big clans. All of them said that Zichun should not go there, because everyone was in seclusion. He could not meet them even if he went. It was obvious that the big clans had been paying attention to the movements of Zichun, the number 1 person. Demon Ape, Wang Xian, Zhang Haoyan, and the others were all in seclusion. When the monk heard the news, he chuckled and said, "Seems like you can't go anywhere. You should continue to stay here." Zichun was helpless. It seemed like the plan to go out had to be terminated. "Oh, right. Why don't you stay in the Buddha tribe? I'll arrange a position for you." The monk suggested again. Zichun did not agree. In the outer city, in an inn, a middle-aged man sat in a room drinking tea. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. The middle-aged man put down his teacup and said lightly, "Come in." A man walked in, closed the door, and said, "Sir, there's still no news of Zichun." The middle-aged man said indifferently, "If there's no news, it means that Zichun is still in the core area. Have someone continue to investigate and report back as soon as there's any news." Yes. The other party left, and the door closed once again. The middle-aged man picked up his teacup again and sneered, "Zichun, it's your bad luck that you ran into us this time. No matter how strong you are, we can still refine you." Qing Yi was very interested in the Buddhist halls. Therefore, in the next few days, the group was looking at the Buddhist halls and eating Buddhist food. Although there was no meat, the taste was still very good. Qing Yi observed very carefully. She wanted to see some kind of enlightenment from the arrangement of these Buddhist halls. During this time, she would also ask Monk about some things. Unfortunately, Monk did not know much about it and could not explain it himself. 5 days later, Zichun decided to leave. "Where are you going?" Monk asked. Since his plan to find his friends was ruined, Zichun seemed to have no destination. He thought for a while and said, let's take one step at a time. He had no other plans at the moment. Monk said, in that case, Lord Zhang will personally come out of the city to see you off and give you some face. Zichen said sarcastically, it's not certain who'll give face to whom, right? Before leaving, Sheng Ming came again to express his gratitude to Zichen. Of course, it was just a verbal thank you. In Monk's words, the Buddhist race was lacking in resources, and it was impossible to reward them. If it was really possible, Zichen could donate some incense money. In addition to the verbal thanks, Zichen also gained the friendship of the Buddhist race. This friendship was fought for by Zichen and had nothing to do with Monk. Monk sent the two of them to the outer city. Monk said, how about I treat you to a good meal? Zichen smiled. There are many people here. Aren't you afraid of gossip? Monk said, what's there to be afraid of? You're here. Besides, we can find a private room where no one can see. The monk in front of him was still the same monk who ate meat. In order to satisfy Monk's small request, Zichen nodded and agreed. During the meal, Monk ate heartily. While Monk was eating, the other people in the Buddhist city were not idle either. First, many disciples of the Buddhist race appeared from a secret passage and then walked out of the city. At the same time, there was an inexplicable force that was also on the move. The middle-aged man, who had drunk a lot of tea in the room, had long lost the mood to enjoy tea. He had received news that Zichen was about to leave. You have to have a good meal, because this will be the last enjoyment of your life. He glanced at the place where Zichen was eating, then left the outer city and began to strategize. He did not care about the Buddhas who were hiding around to protect Zichen. Zichen and the other two walked out of the restaurant. Monk had returned to his original appearance, except for his bulging belly. Is it bad luck if I say take care now? When it was time for them to part, Tyrant said in all seriousness, we'll find out next time. Zichen walked out of the city and waved at Monk without looking back. Cultivate well. You're still too weak now. Don't show up before you become a 9-star Saint Spirit. 9-star? What a big tone. Aren't you just a 7-star Saint Spirit now? Monk sneered. Zichen turned back and smiled mysteriously. I mean, only a 9-star saint like you is qualified to fight with me. Monk was furious. Zichen, if you have the guts, let's fight one-on-one. Do you think I'm afraid of you in the same realm? That's too boring. If you have the ability, come after me. Zichen left. Qing Yi turned around and waved goodbye to Monk. Monk looked at Zichen's back. His previous anger was obviously fake. He muttered, don't die. Following Zichen's departure were the Buddhas who were hiding in the dark, as well as many spies. Monk knew what Zichen was going to do. Unfortunately, the gap between their realms was too big. Monk wanted to help, but he was powerless. Zichen and Qing Yi walked out of the city. Qing Yi had already sensed the experts following them, but she did not say anything. The two left the outer city and walked into the distance. No danger appeared. Zichen left this world and stepped into a flying ship, flying out of the Buddhist region. Soon, several flying ships left with Zichen. It was unknown whether they were friends or foes. 3 days later, Zichen arrived at the edge of the Buddhist region. After he entered the region, the space there began to surge, and countless ripples appeared. Like a light screen, Zichen took the flying ship and plunged into it. The flying ships followed closely behind. Just as they reached the region, everything returned to normal. Disciples of the Buddhas walked out of the flying ships. Chapter 4172. Flying boats stopped one after another, and the Holy Spirits walked out of them. Their faces did not look good because they had lost their target. Just as they were at a loss, a beam of light suddenly appeared in the void. The aura of a holy venerate filled the surroundings. A holy venerate had come personally. All the Holy Spirits immediately bowed, and one of them explained the awkward situation. The holy venerate from the Buddhist race said, "Go back!" The holy spirits who were responsible for secretly protecting Zi-Chin accepted the order, then turned around and returned to the flying boats. One by one they went back. The holy venerate from the Buddhist race stood there, clasped his hands together, and chanted, "Amitabha." Layers of Buddhist light surged in the void, like ripples suddenly surging on the surface of a calm lake, spreading in all directions. 100 feet, 100 feet, 1,000 feet, 100,000 feet. Everything within 10,000 feet of the void turned golden. There was a hint of surprise in the Holy Venerate's eyes, because the surging Holy Venerate power did not discover anything. His hands, which were originally clasped together, suddenly changed into a seal, and he said, "Buddha is merciful." An even more boundless Buddhist power surged out like a raging storm, destroying the surrounding void. Vast and mighty Buddhist power filled the void. Somewhere within this 10,000 feet of the void changed, as if there was an invisible wall that prevented the Buddhist power from invading. The Holy Venerate from the Buddhist race flashed, and he arrived in front of the anomaly. Looking at this strange place, his merciful face gradually changed, and he seemed to become very serious. "Is there a Holy Venerate from the demon race hiding in the Saint Spirit realm?" The scene in Zi-Chen's field of vision changed, and he seemed to have been led to another place. He immediately put away the flying boat and stood in the void. "What happened?" Qingyi asked. Zi-Chen looked around and smiled faintly. "It should be some small trouble." "Little trouble, you are very confident." A faint laugh suddenly sounded, and a person suddenly appeared 1,000 feet away. It was a middle-aged man wearing a black robe. "I have heard that Zi-Chen's combat strength is unparalleled, but after seeing it today, I know that your greatest strength is your arrogance." Zi-Chen looked at him and said, "Do you dare to stand within 30 meters of me and talk to me?" The middle-aged man was stunned. The reason why he was so far away from Zi-Chen was because he was worried that if he got too close, Zi-Chen would suddenly kill him. "What, you don't dare?" Zi-Chen laughed mockingly. "Then shut up. Zi-Chen, don't be so smug. Today is the day you die." The middle-aged man snorted coldly, then waved his hand. "Kill him." More than a dozen people appeared around Zi-Chen. They were all 9-star saint spirits with weapons in their hands. They appeared 300 feet away from Zi-Chen. Qingyi's gaze swept over these people, her gaze lingering on the weapons. "They're all soul weapons. Do you need me to make a move?" This time was different from the previous battle. These people had clearly come prepared. In this situation, Qingyi naturally couldn't sit idly by. Zi-Chen shook his head and said, "That's interesting. In the entire Saint Spirit realm, not to mention how many high-quality soul weapons there are, just the fact that they can take out so many soul weapons at once means that there aren't many powers. Even if the Lost World had pushed the development of soul weapons to a great degree, it was impossible to create so many soul weapons in such a short period of time. I'm a little curious about your background." The middle-aged man, still standing in the distance, said, "There is no use in being curious." "Today is the day you die," Zi-Chen said. "As far as I know, there are currently 2 powers that are worthy of suspicion, and they are both familiar faces from the Lost World. One is the Chui clan, the other is the He clan." The middle-aged man's expression suddenly changed. "It seems you really are going to die. Attack!" The dozen people immediately took out their soul weapons and attacked Zi-Chen. "Seems like I guessed correctly. I originally thought I had nowhere to go, but now I have a direction." Zi-Chen's eyes gradually turned cold, and killing intent filled his eyes. "Die!" He rushed towards a 9-star saint spirit and stabbed the spear in his hand into the other party's chest. The 9-star saint spirit immediately used his soul weapon to block the attack. With a loud clang, the 9-star saint spirit borrowed the force to retreat. Zi Chen's body moved to the side, and the ancient shield in his hand blocked the attack. The spear in his hand immediately left his hand, and like a flash of lightning, it entered the 9-star Saint Spirit's throat. A powerful soul-extinguishing force appeared, destroying the 9-star Saint Spirit soul. A 9-star Saint Spirit was dead. They were not demons, but Saint Spirits native to the Saint Spirit realm. After the 9-star Saint Spirit died, Zi Chen took a step forward, and at the same time he planned to take the 9-star Saint Spirit's soul weapon. Every soul weapon was extremely valuable, not to mention the soul weapon in front of him was made by a 9-star Saint Spirit. The soul weapon that just left the 9-star Saint Spirit's hand suddenly flew into the distance, as if it was summoned. After missing the target, Zi Chen went to find the second target. Qing Yi stood in the distance, and she did not make a move. She was vigilantly watching the surroundings. The moment the battle began, she suddenly had a bad feeling. She did not really feel anything, but the uneasiness grew stronger and stronger, as if there was a great danger hidden in this place. She did not know where the danger came from, because the second 9-star Saint Spirit was already dead. With Zi Chen's current combat strength, it was almost impossible for these people to kill him. The middle-aged man did not leave, but he retreated far away. He was watching the battle, and he was in a good mood. As for the dead 9-star Saint Spirits, he did not feel any heartache. Could it be those soul weapons? Qing Yi noticed that the second soul weapon flew away after its master died. They want to take turns to fight Zi Chen to death. Zi Chen, who had failed to seize the soul weapon twice, seemed to have noticed something was wrong. Next, he was not only going to kill, but also destroy the soul weapon. Powerful soul power was injected into the spear, and this was an all-out attack. The 9-star Saint Spirit in front of him used his soul weapon to block. With a pung sound, the soul weapon in his hand exploded into pieces, and the recoil sent his body flying far away. He did not die, but his soul weapon was destroyed. Next, Zi Chen kept retreating, and he changed directions from time to time, dodging one attack after another. If he could not dodge, he would use the ancient shield to block. The middle-aged man's face changed when he saw Zi Chen destroy a soul weapon. But when Zi Chen destroyed the second soul weapon, his face turned ugly. He did not care about the death of the 9-star Saint Spirit, but the destruction of the soul weapon made his heart ache. But now, he could not tell them to protect the soul weapon. Damn it, before dying, he made us suffer such a great loss. The middle-aged man cursed under his breath. At this moment, the third soul weapon was destroyed. None of the 9-star Saint Spirits died, but the loss of 3 soul weapons was fatal. Furious, the middle-aged man shouted, "What are you waiting for? Why are you not using your full strength?" All kinds of strange phenomena appeared in the void, and the surging soul power caused the void to tremble. Fighting against Zi Chen, how could these 9-star Saint Spirits dare to hold back? Fortunately, this battle was in the void. If it was in some other world, they would have destroyed that world long ago. Zi Chen's spear pierced forward, and a giant beast formed from soul power was destroyed. Zi Chen's figure moved forward with extreme speed and struck out with all his might. A sharp whistling sound came from the void, as if a huge hole was pierced through it. This attack was not a power attack, but it still brought about such a great momentum. Unsurprisingly, in the face of death, all the 9-star Saint Spirits made the same choice. The fourth soul weapon was destroyed, and the 9-star Saint Spirit was sent flying, coughing out blood, and thus saved his life. Just like that, the number of Zi Chen's enemies did not decrease, but the number of soul weapons was decreasing. Qing Yi noticed the change in the middle-aged man's expression and couldn't help but nod her head. It seemed that Zi Chen was right. As long as those soul weapons were destroyed, the rest of them would be much weaker in the battle of attrition. The fifth soul weapon was destroyed. The sixth soul weapon was destroyed and lost its function. The middle-aged man gritted his teeth in anger, but he could only be angry. He could not scold the 9-star Saint Spirits. Even if he felt that the 9-star Saint Spirits were not worth a soul weapon, he could not say it out loud. He was waiting, and he could only wait. The 7th soul weapon was destroyed. The 8th soul weapon, the 9th soul weapon, until the 10th soul weapon. There were only 5 9-star Saint Spirits left. As for the other 9-star Saint Spirits, after losing their soul weapons, their battle prowess was not as strong as before. It was unknown whether it was because their battle prowess had weakened, or because they had purposely restrained their strength. Zi-Chen even had a feeling that they were purposely allowing those with soul weapons to charge forward. After all, even if Zi-Chen's killing move came close, the soul weapons would be destroyed first, not them. Perhaps it was because of this tacit understanding that Zi-Chen did not have to purposely look for enemies. As long as he attacked with all his strength, there would be a soul weapon in front of him. Thus, the 11th soul weapon was destroyed. Only 4 soul weapons were left. Zi-Chen was puzzled. What was the meaning of this? The other 9-star Saint Spirits seemed to be trying to preserve their lives. Bang, bang, bang. 12, 13, 14. Soon, there was only 1 soul weapon left among Zi-Chen's opponents. Zi-Chen had expended a lot of energy to destroy the soul weapons consecutively, but it was enough to kill the other 9-star Saint Spirits. He had a feeling that things were not as simple as he thought. During this time, Zi-Chen noticed that one of the 9-star Saint Spirits raised his head to look at the sky. Could there be hidden dangers in the sky? Just as Zi-Chen was pondering, the last soul weapon was delivered to him, forcing Zi-Chen to use all his strength. Bang! As expected, the soul weapon was destroyed. The middle-aged man no longer looked at the battlefield, or else he would be angered to death. He raised his head to look at the sky, and there was a hint of urgency in his eyes. He was waiting. Ripples appeared in the sky, like thousands of stars, and began to disappear. Phew! Seeing the strange phenomenon in the sky, the middle-aged man heaved a sigh of relief. I finally succeeded. He looked at Zi-Chen with a cold gaze, as if he was looking at a dead man. Zi-Chen, the time of your death has arrived. Chapter 41-73. It was as if countless stars had appeared in the sky, shining brightly. The middle-aged man heaved a sigh of relief when the vision appeared. His heart was finally at ease. He waved at the crowd and said, "Retreat!" He was very dissatisfied. According to the original plan, the 9-star Saint Spirits would die, but the soul weapons would be preserved and kept for future use. However, he did not expect that Zi-Chen would destroy all the soul weapons, but the 9-star Saint Spirit survived. The group of Saint Spirits heard him and immediately retreated. They were all relieved. Without the soul weapons, it would be time for them to die. Fortunately, the plan was completed. Zi-Chen looked at the Saint Spirits retreating, but he did not chase after them. At this moment, a vision appeared in the sky. He looked up and saw that the stars had materialized. It was not the real Xingqian, but a great array. Those stars were the foundation of the great array. They were shining brightly. Zi-Chen sensed that something was wrong. He immediately soared into the sky and flew toward the great array. The blood-stained spear in his hand emitted a mighty aura. Boundless golden light lit up the entire sky. At this moment, the power Zi-Chen used was much stronger than when he destroyed the soul weapons. In another direction, Qing-Yi, who had not made a move until now, also soared into the sky with Zi-Chen. Light condensed on her fingertips. It was just a little bit of light, but it gave people a strong feeling. Qing-Yi also sensed that something was wrong. She chose to take the initiative to attack. It's too late to make a move now. Looking at the two people who were going all out, the middle-aged man only smiled coldly. Zi-Chen's body suddenly emitted rays of black light, which instantly drowned out the golden light. His body, which had soared into the sky, was rapidly decelerating. The powerful attack contained in the spear was also disappearing at this moment. In just a breath, Zi Chen's body seemed to be bound by an invisible force. He stood motionless in the sky. There seemed to be chanting in his body. Rays of black energy kept appearing from his body. They were like black ropes which began to coil around Zi Chen's body. Qing was not stopped. She was still flying toward the great array in the sky. However, before she could even get close, the array had already been activated. A powerful repulsive force appeared in the air and sent her body flying backward. She was excluded by the array. A black beam of light descended from the void. It was pure devil qi, and it headed straight for Zi Chen. Zi Chen tried to break free from the restraints on his body, but to no avail. The man laughed loudly. I prepared this especially for you. Do you admit it or not? You're going to die. The power of the ancient thunder flame in Zi Chen's body erupted, forming countless ripples that began to attack the bindings. The black binding began to tremble, as if it was about to loosen. The middle-aged man's laughter faded, and his expression changed slightly. You have the power to resist like this? Fine, I'll give you a little more. After all, you are very famous in the Saint Spirit domain. You can't die in such a humiliating manner. The middle-aged man waved his hand, and the Holy Spirits who had left earlier appeared once more. They received the order and charged toward Zi Chen. Let's see what you choose. The middle-aged man sneered. If Zi Chen didn't care and just wanted to break free from the bindings, he would be killed by these Holy Spirits. On the other hand, if he fought against these Holy Spirits, he would be destroyed by the array. Either way, he would die. Zi Chen moved. This wasn't a difficult choice. He would kill first, then break the array. However, at this moment, he already believed that the lost bone grinding relic was indeed on him, and that it was being used right now. It could be said that it was cooperating with the array, trying to control him. However, Zi Chen didn't understand why it was targeting him. It was just a coincidence that he came to the Buddha clan. The enemy wanted the bone-grinding relic, and he didn't know how many years they had been plotting. The two shouldn't have had anything to do with each other. After the 9-star Holy Spirits entered, they were also surrounded by black light. However, this black light wasn't binding them but protecting them. It protected them from being affected by the array. Zi Chen charged toward the 9-star Holy Spirits, determined to end this quickly. The middle-aged man laughed. Are you confused why we're targeting you? In fact, it's just in passing. Who asked you to be so unlucky? At that time, we thought about it and felt that you were the most suitable candidate. Because you had a good relationship with the Buddha clan, you would definitely be able to smoothly come out with the bone-grinding relic. Our goal was to use your body as the core and your soul as the medium to open up a channel. The spear pierced through the body of a 9-star Holy Spirit. Zi Chen said in a deep voice, You colluded with the Devil Clan? The middle-aged man said, Colluded is not a good word to use. This is called opening the door to welcome guests. Our distinguished guest has been waiting outside for too many years. It's time for him to come in. Guest? Do you know what kind of disaster your so-called guest will bring to the Saint Spirit realm once he comes to this world? Zi Chen said coldly. The second 9-star Holy Spirit was killed. The middle-aged man spread his hands and said, That has nothing to do with me. The next moment, his figure disappeared into thin air. A beam of light passed through the place where he was standing. It was Qing. She wanted to catch him, but she didn't expect him to react so quickly. The middle-aged man appeared in the distance. After he was far away from Qing, he sneered and said, It's useless to attack me now. Now that the formation is complete, all you and I can do is watch Zi Chen slowly die from the devil qi being injected into his body. Then, come with me to witness the arrival of the Devil Clan. With that, the middle-aged man disappeared again, but this time he was far away from Qing. Although Zi Chen was trapped in the formation, it didn't affect his conversation with the middle-aged man. He could also kill a few Holy Spirits while he was at it. You mean the devil Qi will corrode my body? The middle-aged man who appeared in another place said, That's right. When that time comes, you will no longer be yourself. You won't even count as a devil. You will just be a key filled with devil Qi. It's possible that you will become a monument in the future for future generations to worship. Devil Qi entering my body? After sensing the abnormality in his body, Zichun gradually felt the pressure. He didn't dare to waste any more time and began to kill the enemies with all his might. More devil Qi fell from the sky and entered Zichen's body. The power in Zichen's body showed signs of being assimilated. Die. The spear in Zichen's hand pierced through the body of a Holy Spirit. He didn't care whether the Holy Spirit was dead or alive. He directly rushed to the next target. The middle-aged man who had disappeared appeared again. He was very surprised to see Zichen's current state. Even so, Zichen still had such a terrifying combat strength. It seemed that the title of invincible was well deserved. But he wasn't worried, because Zichen was going to die today without a doubt. Soon, these holy spirits who had come to die were all dead. Chapter 4174. The sacred spirits' corpses fell from the sky, and no one knew where they would end up. Perhaps they would end up in a small world, or perhaps they would end up in the myriad spirit realm. This was an opportunity, and a great one at that. Even the sacred spirits would covet it. Unfortunately, no one cared about it. Qing Yi tried a few times, but she couldn't catch the middle-aged man, let alone kill him. She was somewhat anxious. After killing all the sacred spirits, Zichen sat down cross-legged, no longer resisting the demonic qi. Oh, you're not struggling anymore. A faint smile appeared on the middle-aged man's face. Then you'll die even faster. Zichen didn't respond. He closed his eyes, allowing the demonic qi to come from all directions. The sound of chanting continued, affecting Zichen's consciousness. The middle-aged man watched for a moment, then asked doubtfully, What do you mean? Why aren't you struggling and giving up? Suddenly, his expression changed, and he said in shock, You're not refining it, are you? You're refining the demonic qi? You're actually refining the demonic qi. The middle-aged man couldn't help but laugh. I admit that the demonic qi is a good thing, and it's an extremely pure power. Unfortunately, it's not suitable for you. If you resist it with all your might, you can slow down the rate at which the demonic qi enters your body. To put it simply, you can live a little longer. But you're actually refining the demonic qi. This is no less than opening the door to your body and letting the demonic qi in. It seems that you want the demon race to come to the saint spirit realm even more than I do. The demonic qi descending from the sky had completely enveloped Zichen. At this moment, only a large amount of demonic qi could be seen, and Zichen was nowhere to be seen. Perhaps you're too happy too early. Others can't refine the demonic qi, but that doesn't mean Zichen can't. At this moment, Qing Yi, who was no longer trying to kill anyone, spoke up. Every time she approached, the middle-aged man would take the initiative to leave and never fight her. Hearing Qing Yi's words, he smiled disdainfully. Beauty, are you trying to make me happy? Qing Yi said coldly, teasing you. Do you think you're worthy? Don't forget who the person inside is. He's Zichen, an existence who has created countless miracles. The demonic energy might be able to stump others, but it definitely won't be able to stump Zichen. The middle-aged man's expression changed slightly. Oh, there's such a thing? Qing Yi said, Looks like you don't understand your opponent at all. But then again, you sent so few people to kill Zichen. Of course, you don't know how strong he is. The middle-aged man humbly asked, Then what kind of power would be required to kill Zichen? Qing Yi proudly said, Of course, I want the power of the saint. The middle-aged man nodded seriously. Oh, is there anything else? Isn't that enough? Qing Yi asked. Heavenly sovereigns are invincible. In the saint spirit world, every heavenly sovereign is invincible. This kind of invincibility is truly invincible. If a heavenly sovereign really came, killing Zichen would be no problem at all. The middle-aged man thought for a moment. Qing Yi's eyes flashed with anxiety. Then what are you waiting for? You know you can't kill Zichen. So why don't you hurry up and see if he's refined the demonic energy? If he's really grown, won't you be in a worse situation? The middle-aged man smiled faintly and asked, Aren't you with Zichen? Why are you thinking for me now? I'm not familiar with him, said Qing Yi. I'm not thinking for you right now. I'm helping the weak. The middle-aged man looked Qing Yi up and down. Woman, you're beautiful. Every time you get close to me, you give me a sense of danger. You're obviously very strong, but how come you don't have any brains? Qing Yi was furious. Who are you calling brainless? Do you think I'm an idiot? If I let Zichen go right now, the first thing he'll do is kill me. As for refining the demonic energy, do you really think that's possible? The middle-aged man's face was full of ridicule. Why wouldn't it be possible? Said Qing Yi. He's Zichen. Didn't you say he was very strong? Looks like you're really naive. I was just messing with you. Can't you see? The middle-aged man laughed and said, Time is long, and the only ones who can talk here are you and me. Wouldn't it be nice to chat with a silly girl like you while watching Zichen, the great invincible, die? Qing Yi quickly stepped forward. She was furious. She had been talking seriously with the middle-aged man, but he was just messing with her. The middle-aged man began to back away, keeping his distance from Qing Yi. Miss, don't be angry. Even if I were an idiot like you and listened to you, I still wouldn't be able to release Zichen. He pointed to the sky. Do you think I have the ability to do something like that? I'm just a spectator at best, a witness to history. I'm going to witness Zichen's death and the arrival of the demonic race. Zichen won't die, said Qing Yi loudly. Unless a holy sage comes. The middle-aged man laughed again. What, you're angry? Actually, there's one more thing I haven't told you. The demonic energy in the formation above us is terrifying. How terrifying is it? Yes, it's like a holy sage has come in person. Really, I'm not lying to you. If a holy sage isn't comparable to a holy sage, do you think Zichen won't die? As soon as he said this, it was as if Qing Yi had announced Zichen's death sentence. She instantly lost the will to chase after him. She turned around and rushed toward the array. But as soon as she got close, she was sent flying by a powerful force. Qing Yi didn't care. She continued to charge forward, shouting, Zichen, resist! Resist! Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Just as the middle-aged man expected, Zichen, no longer resisting, began to devour the demonic energy. This was the only way he could escape. As for the demonic energy, it wasn't that he hadn't devoured it before. The devouring demon, Leech, was an example. But compared to this demonic energy, the devouring demon Leech's power was like an ant trying to shake a tree. The two couldn't be compared. As Zichen absorbed the demonic energy, he gradually lost consciousness. In his ears, the sound of Buddhist chanting continuously rang out. His consciousness gradually blurred, but the devouring didn't weaken. It was as if this was his instinct. The demonic energy entered Zichen's sea of consciousness and was devoured by the soul-devouring demon Leech, refined and turned into his own power. But as the hypnotic chanting continued, Zichen's consciousness finally went blank. Without the control of his instincts, the devouring speed of the soul-devouring demon Leech gradually decreased. More demonic energy entered Zichen's body. His body gradually began to demonize. His blood and bones were also filled with demonic energy. Some demonic energy also entered Zichen's abdomen through his meridians and began to invade the ancient Thunderflame power. Even without Zi Chen's special control, the ancient Thunderflame power was extremely terrifying. The first wave of demonic energy that approached was destroyed. In Zi Chen's sea of consciousness, the Golden Soul was also surrounded. It was like a pack of wolves surrounding a sleeping pride of lions. Only 1 or 2 lions were awake and fighting with the pack of wolves. The other lions were in a deep sleep and couldn't wake up. The awakened lions were naturally the soul-devouring demon, leech that was circulating slower and slower. If this continued, it would eventually stop circulating. At that time, Zi Chen's soul would be assimilated. The ancient Thunderflame power was a powerful force, but it also needed to be properly guided. As more demonic energy was injected in an unconscious state, it would eventually lose to the endless demonic energy. At that time, Zi Chen would be a demon, and the middle-aged man would really become a witness to the invasion of the demons. At this moment, a voice came from the outside, penetrating the heavy demonic energy and entering Zi Chen's sea of consciousness. Zi Chen, resist! Zi Chen, resist! This voice wasn't loud, but it was very clear, as if it was ringing in the heart lake. Even the chanting couldn't suppress it. An extremely small fluctuation appeared in Zi Chen's golden soul power. As more voices were transmitted, this fluctuation became more and more intense, until the golden soul power completely boiled and became active. Consciousness. Zi Chen opened his eyes. His gaze penetrated the boundless demonic energy and saw outside the array. He saw Qingyi, who was constantly crashing into the array and was badly mutilated, but still trying to rush in. Chapter 41, 75. Qingyi was calling out to Zi Chen again and again. She used her delicate body to crash into the array. Every time she crashed into the array, the protective soul power around her body would disappear, and the backlash from the array would seriously injure her body. Qingyi cultivated soul power, and her body was relatively weak. Every collision was like a strong force landing on her body, making her look like a bloody mess. Zi Chen, resist! Qingyi's voice was weak, but unusually firm. TSK, TSK, didn't you say you weren't familiar with Zi Chen? Why are you risking your life for him now? The middle-aged man laughed. He had been watching the show this entire time and found it quite amusing. Originally, I couldn't beat you, but judging from your current state, you're very weak. After Zi Chen dies, I'll kill you to help you achieve your goal. Unfortunately, your body can no longer be seen. Otherwise, before you die, you can enjoy a round of asterisk, 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 asterisk. Zi Chen, get up and resist. Qingyi's body leaned weakly against the edge of the array. At this moment, her eyes were filled with despair. There was also regret. If she hadn't come out to play, Zi Chen wouldn't have come here, and he wouldn't have been schemed against by others. She didn't care whether the demons would invade or not, because she couldn't control them. She wasn't familiar with the demons, and there was no deep hatred between them. She cared about Zi Chen, and she was the one who harmed Zi Chen. Inside the array, Zi Chen saw this scene, and the anger in his heart was completely ignited. His eyes were filled with killing intent, and he seemed to be infinitely crazy. The dark, ghost-devouring soul technique began to operate crazily, as if a group of sleeping lions had awakened in an instant. Although there was a pack of wolves around them, there were a pride of lions, and each of them was a king. A huge golden vortex appeared in Zi Chen's sea of consciousness. The soul power that poured in was constantly being swallowed by the vortex. The golden vortex was like a huge funnel, filling the sea of consciousness. All of the devilish energy was sucked into the vortex from the top, where it was refined layer by layer until only the purest part of it was left behind. It appeared at the bottom of the funnel and became Zi Chen's golden soul power. After the golden soul power appeared, it filled the vortex funnel again, causing the vortex to begin to expand. Was this a crisis? No, this was an opportunity. Moreover, it was an extremely rare opportunity. Boundless rage filled Zi Chen's heart, making it impossible for him to calm down. The Buddhist chant that was still ringing out naturally lost its effect. Qing Yi was nestled outside the array formation. She had already done her best. The middle-aged man sized up Qing Yi's body and regretfully said, "What a pity, your injuries are too heavy. I can't bear to look at you. Otherwise you would also be a rare beauty." Qing Yi didn't hear what the other party was saying. She only looked ahead, hoping to see a miracle. It was just like how he fought against the demonic leeches to save people in the Buddha race. Qing Yi didn't know if it was because the prayer in her heart was effective, but she clearly saw that the unchanging demonic qi started to tremble. Qing Yi's eyes lit up as she slowly stood up. "There's no need to be happy. He probably heard your call and struggled a bit. Now that things have gotten to this point, he has no chance of surviving." The middle-aged man also sensed the abnormality. He looked up at the sky, at the great array formation. Because the array formation has been completed, even if the Holy Sovereign personally came, he wouldn't be able to save him. The demonic qi in front of them began to churn like rising smoke, rapidly twisting and turning. The middle-aged man disdainfully said, "Is this a final struggle?" Suddenly, his expression changed because the churning demonic qi in front of him had clearly become thinner and not as strong as before. It was as if it had disappeared for no reason. How can this be? The middle-aged man was in disbelief. Could it be that the array formation is about to be completed? He looked up at the sky. The demonic qi falling from the array formation hadn't weakened at all. Clearly, it wasn't over yet. At this moment, he saw the demonic qi become thinner and thinner. He could even see Zi Chen's body sitting cross-legged within. A golden vortex had appeared around him, and the demonic qi was constantly being swallowed up by the vortex. The golden vortex was swallowing the demonic qi so quickly that the supply of demonic qi falling from the sky couldn't meet the demand. In the end, there was no more demonic qi around Zichen. As soon as the demonic qi fell from the sky, it would be absorbed by Zichen. "I told you, Zichen is not an ordinary person, but you didn't believe me." Qing Yi's voice sounded again. She was originally a bloody mess, but after using her soul power to recover, her condition was much better. "Impossible! This is impossible!" The middle-aged man cried out involuntarily. The Holy Sovereign said that as long as the array formation is completed, no one in the Saint Spirit realm can break it. It's even more impossible to swallow the demonic qi. You're not a demon. The scene in front of them was too unexpected, far beyond common sense. The Holy Sovereign's words had unexpectedly changed. How could a Holy Spirit living in the Saint Spirit realm swallow the demonic qi? Even if a demon came here, the dense demonic qi here would kill him. But why wasn't Zichen dead? "This is impossible," the middle-aged man shouted. "With the bone-grinding Saraira, there's no way you can survive." He had long since lost his mind. Zichen, who was sitting cross-legged in the array formation, suddenly opened his eyes. He looked at the middle-aged man through the array formation and smiled. "You mean this?" A bone-grinding Saraira appeared in Zichen's hand, but it wasn't one. There were 9 of them. However, these 9 bone-grinding Saraira no longer emitted demonic light. They were all pure Buddhist energy. At this moment, the 9 bone-grinding Saraira began to slowly revolve around Zichen. Without the demonic qi, the bone-grinding Saraira began to automatically protect Zichen. This was because the bone-grinding Saraira naturally repelled demonic qi. The middle-aged man was completely dumbfounded. Zichen stood up, and the bone-grinding Saraira moved with Zichen. Zichen looked up at the sky, at the array formation that was constantly spewing demonic qi, and said, "Still too slow." His body immediately rose into the air, and all the demonic qi in his path was swallowed by his body. He came under the array formation, stretched out his hand, and said indifferently, "Since you prepared them for me, Then give them all to me. Pure demonic chi madly surged into Zi-Chen's body and then was quickly refined, becoming a part of his soul power. His soul power began to grow stronger. For Zi-Chen, there was no bottleneck in his current cultivation because his soul realm had already reached that level. The only thing he lacked now was the replenishment of his soul power. Now that the pure soul power had arrived, everything fell into place. After Zi-Chen swallowed the last bit of demonic chi, Zi-Chen's soul power finally reached a critical point. Quantitative change. The aura of an 8-star Holy Spirit filled the entire array formation. Zi-Chen broke through to the next realm. The feeling of power made him unable to help but roar. The entire array formation began to shake, as if it couldn't withstand the power of this roar. Open for me. Zi-Chen exerted force in his palm, and a surge of 8-star soul power poured out, shining with golden light, into the array formation. Chapter 4176. The middle-aged man stood there as if he had been petrified. His body didn't move. He was stunned, completely stunned. The bone-grinding relic held great significance to the Buddha race. It was practically their shame, so every single one of them was strictly guarded. Wanting to get a bone-grinding relic from the Buddha race was undoubtedly harder than ascending to the heavens. And wanting to get 9 of them at once was like a mortal ascending to the 9th heaven. It was a miracle. After spending countless years of effort and nurturing countless spies, generation after generation, they finally accumulated 9. Even now, the Buddha race only felt that they had lost 1 bone-grinding relic. Actually, the real number was 9. The other 8 weren't recorded. Obtaining the demon bone relic was the first step. The second step was to set up the array. The materials used were all precious materials from the demon race. Otherwise, how could they open the door to the demon race? This would take countless years of time. With the array, they still needed to find the right time to act. For example, right now everything seemed calm, but in reality there were already saint venerables from the Buddha race outside. They were just blocked by an invisible force. But this great undertaking that they had spent so much effort and sacrificed so many people was destroyed by this guy in front of them. He was only an 8-star. No, he was only a 7-star before. How could he destroy a great plan that even Saint Venerables couldn't? The middle-aged man couldn't figure it out. He couldn't understand. But it was meaningless. His plan of many years had failed. All his calculations had failed. He couldn't go back alive. Even if Zi-Chen let him go, he didn't have the guts to go back. Dying in battle here was the best ending for him. Why? Why is this? The middle-aged man recovered from his thoughts. He looked at Zi-Chen, who had broken the array, and asked unwillingly, "Because this is the saint spirit realm, not the demon race's world." Zi-Chen walked toward the middle-aged man. "This is not a place where the demon race should come. This is the will of the heavens." Zi-Chen didn't give the middle-aged man a chance to ask more questions. He pointed forward. The 7-star Zi-Chen had the title of invincible. What about the 8-star before him? The middle-aged man's body, which had just taken a step back, stopped. There was a finger mark between his eyebrows. "You!" The middle-aged man didn't know what else to say, but he only managed to say one word before his body collapsed. Zi-Chen waved his sleeve, and a ray of light swept up the other party's body. Since this matter had come to an end, it was time to settle the score. He had to pay a visit to the 2 clans to see what kind of reckless force dared to make such a scheme. Zi-Chen turned to look at Qing-Yi. She was flying towards them. "Are you okay?" Qing-Yi shook her head. "Don't worry. I specialize in spiritual strength. No matter how heavy the injury, as long as I have spiritual strength, I can recover in a short time." Zi-Chen wanted to tell him not to be so impulsive next time, but in the end he didn't say it. He just thanked him. I accidentally fell asleep earlier. Fortunately, you woke me up." Suddenly, Zi-Chen's expression changed, and he pulled Qing Yi away. Zichen appeared 100 feet away. There was a bloody hole in his shoulder. How strong was Zichen's body? How could it be pierced through? Ignoring the wound in front of his eyes, Zichen raised his head and looked at the void. A person had appeared there. It was a person whose face Zichen couldn't see clearly. He stood there, as if he had become one with the void. Your reaction is quite fast, and your luck is not bad. The person smiled faintly. I hope you'll be so lucky next time. Holy Venerable. Zichen's expression changed dramatically. He was shocked. Seeing that his attack had failed, the other party retreated, intending to leave. Amitabha. Benefactor, since you're here, don't leave. A Buddhist chant rang out, and then a pure, holy, venerable power descended from the sky. Compared to the hidden aura from before, this holy, venerable power was not only powerful, but also undisguised. Before the person arrived, the pure Buddhist power had already arrived, filling the surroundings in an instant. The void world immediately turned into a world of Buddhist light. The existence's retreat was completely blocked by the Buddhist power. Humph! The person snorted coldly, and a weapon appeared in his hand. He activated the weapon with all his might, and his whole body became a stream of light, breaking through the Buddhist power and escaping. Boom! Although he broke through the path in front of him, it was not easy for him to escape. He coughed up blood, and his aura was much weaker. Under such circumstances, Zichen could sense that the other party was not a real Holy Venerable. A real Holy Venerable of the Buddhist clan had descended into this world. He looked at the direction that the person had escaped and did not speak for a long time. Greetings, Holy Venerable. Zichen and Qing Yi came forward and bowed to the Holy Venerable of the Buddhist clan. The Holy Venerable of the Buddhist clan turned around and put his palms together. I'm ashamed. I was blocked by an extremely powerful force, and I almost killed you. Zichen took out the 9 relics that had lost their demonic energy and handed them to the Holy Venerable with both hands. The Holy Venerable looked at the relics and asked curiously, Benefactor, what is the meaning of this? Zichen told him everything that had happened. The Holy Venerable's expression changed. Only then did he realize the seriousness of the matter. It was not 1 relic that had been lost, but 9 of them. However, as the Holy Venerable, he did not know about it. Otherwise, it would not be just a Holy Venerable who had come here. It seemed that there were still spies among the Buddhist clan. Knowing the seriousness of the matter, the Holy Venerable took the relics, thanked Zichen, and left in a hurry. After the Holy Venerable of the Buddhist clan left, Qing Yi looked at Zichen and asked, Are you okay? Zichen looked at the wound that was still bleeding. I'm fine. It's just some residual power. I'll be fine after a while. Your performance is barely passable. Of course, it's best that you're lucky. At this moment, a faint voice suddenly sounded. Zichen heard it and immediately turned his head. He saw a man standing behind him. It was a strong man, and he was standing about 100 feet behind Zichen. Qing Yi was shocked. She did not sense the other party's presence at all. After the other party spoke, she felt the aura behind her. It's you? Zichen was surprised. This person was Chung Ho, the Chung Ho of the Demon Suppression sect. It was him and Lady Frost who had saved him when he was surrounded by the Leizheng family. Who else? Chung Ho looked at Qing Yi and said, You're living a good life. When did you get here? Zichen asked. Chung Ho picked his ear and said, I've been here for a few days. So you're saying that you've already seen what happened? Zichen asked in shock. Why else would I say that you're lucky? Chung Ho looked at Zichen from the corner of his eyes. Of course, it's just good luck. So you've seen everything. Those self-righteous idiots didn't even think about what we do. Did they think they could hide from us? Chapter 41-77. Hearing Chung Ho's words, Zi Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He had almost lost his life. If Qing Yi hadn't woken him up in time, he really would have been in danger. And this person had actually been watching the show from the shadows. Perhaps he was even judging him. Wasn't that infuriating? What do you want from me? Zi Chen asked angrily. Chang Ho said, I want you to go to the demon realm and find out what's going on there. What did you say? Zi Chen looked at Chang Ho. Chang Ho laughed. I want you to go to the demon realm and find out what's going on there. Zi Chen glared at him and said, Then why didn't you just help that guy and let me die on the spot? If I really went to the demon realm, wouldn't it be hard for me to die? Chang Ho said, The demon realm isn't as scary as you think. There are spirit race people there, just like our saint spirit realm. Don't they also have demon race people? Zi Chen emphasized, but their blood isn't pure and they don't think of themselves as demon race people. They are people of our saint spirit realm. They are demon race people of the saint spirit realm, not demon race people of the saint devil realm. It's all the same, Chang Ho said. You can think whatever you want, but you have to go to the demon realm. I'm not going. Zi Chen shook his head. Sure enough, he refused. Really? A man's words carry enormous weight. How could I lie? Zi Chen said loudly, I'm not going. I'm not going. Chang Ho laughed, then gave Zi Chen a big thumbs up. Little guy, good job. You've got guts. I already guessed this would be the result. His smile grew wider and wider. He clasped his hands together, his knuckles cracking. Qing Yi didn't understand. This was Zi Chen's friend. Why was he smiling so maliciously? Zi Chen said in a low voice, What, you want to fight? You are a grand sacred venerate, and you want to deal with a mere 8-star like me? Chang Ho laughed and said, How could that be? I just haven't fought recently and wanted to stretch my muscles and bones a bit. Of course, if I accidentally hurt anyone, I can only apologize in advance. Chang Ho, you are a saint venerate, yet you are so shameless. Zi Chen stared at Chang Ho. Ever since they met, Zi Chen didn't know why, but he had a feeling that this guy had always wanted to deal with him. Or rather, they all wanted to beat him up. However, the two of them clearly had no enmity between them. So where did this malicious intent come from? Oh, you've grown quite a bit. You don't even call me senior anymore. Chang Ho's smile turned colder. What? Are you really going to attack? Zi Chen looked at Chang Ho. Didn't I say? I'm just stretching my muscles and bones. Chang Ho walked forward, his knuckles popping. Seeing the look in his eyes, Zi Chen's expression didn't change. Stretching my muscles and bones? If I really have the strength, I'd better go deal with the demons. Right, what did you say just now? I don't think I heard it clearly. Did you want me to do something? We can discuss it again. Qing Yi's gaze when she looked at Zi Chen became strange. This ability to change the rudder according to the wind was too old. In the blink of an eye, his firm stance was gone. As the number one person in the saint spirit realm, where was his face? Didn't you say you didn't want to go to the demon realm? Chang Ho stopped. Zi Chen said with a blank face, Did I? How come I don't remember? I thought you were talking about the god realm. Since it's the demon realm, I naturally have to go. After all, I've been fascinated by that place for a long time. Chang Ho said, Don't be embarrassed. If you don't want to go, you can tell me. Don't worry, I won't force you. Zi Chen said with a righteous expression. What kind of person do you think I am, Zi Chen? Who am I? In the present age, Zi Chen has always been a man of his word. Then why don't you come with me? Not yet. I have to go see those two clans. I suspect that today's matter has something to do with them. Zi Chen said, After suffering such a big loss, how can I not get some interest back? Chang Ho looked at Zi Chen suspiciously. Don't tell me you're thinking of taking advantage of the situation to escape? Zi Chen immediately said with a righteous expression. How could that be possible? If you don't trust me, you can come with me. When this matter is over, we'll leave together. Really? Of course. Then I'll go with you. Great sage, I'll have to trouble you to send us to the desolate starfield. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The desolate starfield was a huge starfield. There were some clans overseeing it, the largest of which was the He clan. Compared to the 4 great sacred domains and the 5 elements aristocratic families, the He clan in the desolate sacred domain was almost unknown. However, after this trip to the lost world, the He clan's reputation soared. Although it still hadn't reached the peak, it had made the major forces look at it in a new light. In addition, the He clan also had an exclusive refining technique for soul weapons. It was said that they could sell soul weapons to the outside world. Recently, more and more people and forces had come to the He clan to look for them. It was said that the current ranking of individuals had been reached decades later, and almost all of them were 9-star saint spirits. As for forces, they could come to the He clan immediately, but they still had to line up. It was unknown whether it was a coincidence or not. But today, the 4 great sacred domains and the 5 elements aristocratic families had come at the same time. At this moment, they were waiting outside the door. Someone had already gone in to report. At this moment, the 9 people represented the 9 forces gathered together. In the distance, there were representatives of other forces, but they were not qualified to stand in the same position as the 9 people. They belonged to the second camp. The reason why everyone was gathered here was, of course, not a coincidence, but no one deliberately brought it up. After all, they came to visit because they wanted to do business with the He clan. In business, harmony made money. A moment later, a person walked out of the He clan. He should be a housekeeper. After seeing the 9 people, he immediately bowed and said, "I've made you wait for a long time. Please follow me first. The clan master is already on his way." The He clan dared not give face to the several holy clans. The few of them smiled faintly and walked forward. But at this moment, the housekeeper looked at one of them with a troubled expression. That person asked, "What's wrong?" The housekeeper said apologetically, "To be honest, before we came, the clan master instructed us to ask the Holy Thunder clan to wait for a moment." When the representatives of the other forces heard this, they all looked at the people of the Holy Thunder clan without batting an eyelid. Why? The representative of the Holy Thunder clan asked. The housekeeper said awkwardly, "I'm not sure about this. I hope you can wait here for a moment. After the clan master gives the order, I will come to welcome you. Or, after we go in, I will inform the clan master. At that time, if the clan master agrees, I will come out to welcome you personally." His words were very beautiful, but whether or not that was what he meant was debatable. The others stood there like shrewd people, not saying anything. In fact, everyone more or less knew about the He clan. For example, last time, the He clan first went to the Holy Thunder clan to show their power. In the end, they were unlucky and met Zichin. Not only did they not gain face, but they also lost a lot of immortal stones and lost a lot of face. Perhaps today's scene was the He clan trying to regain the face they lost last time. So what if you're the Holy Thunder clan? I won't let you in. Others can enter. Chapter 4178. The representatives of the 9 forces had come in person. The He clan agreed to let 8 of them in, leaving only the Holy Thunder tribe behind. The 8 people next to them stood silently at the side, as if they were just watching the show with their eyes and not their mouths. At the same time, there was a hint of ridicule. Last time in the Lost World, the Holy Thunder clan, represented by Zichin, didn't give them a good time. In terms of humiliation, they were the ones who suffered the most. If the people who came were from the Leijing family, perhaps they wouldn't be so targeted. However, it was said that the people who came were very close to Zichen's faction. After seeing this scene, the representatives of the other factions in the distance whispered and pointed at them. "I hope you won't make things difficult for me. Please follow me." The butler first apologized to the representative of the Holy Thunder Clan, then motioned for the 8 people to come forward. The representative of the Holy Thunder Clan stayed there, feeling a little lonely. Damn it, in order to get this job, I put in so much effort, but I didn't expect to be tricked. As a core disciple of the Holy Thunder Clan, the Holy Thunder Clan's representative could clearly hear the discussions around him. This was obviously the He family's revenge. Before coming, the others knew about this but didn't tell him in detail, so he could plan ahead. It seems that this is a trap. He thought of the expression of the Lei Zhang family when they lost the qualification before coming. There was no trace of depression, and there was a clear look of ridicule in his eyes. It seems that they did it on purpose. Now they are waiting for me to go back and make a fool of myself. Next time, it will definitely be the Lei Zhang family. Suddenly, there was a cry of surprise from behind. Feeling a little annoyed the moment he turned around, he saw the group of representatives split apart, and a man and a woman walked forward. He didn't know the woman, but after seeing the man, his eyes lit up in surprise. "Zi Chen!" He shouted. The people who came were Zi, Chen, and Qingyi. Zi Chen set his first target on the He family, who wanted to use him to establish their power. As soon as he landed, he saw many holy spirits gathered together. Their auras were different, and they obviously came from different factions. This made him very puzzled. What were so many divine spirits doing here? Right at this moment, he heard a familiar voice in front of him. He raised his head and looked ahead. He saw a holy spirit standing alone in the distance. "Brother Pei, why are you here?" Zi Chen recognized the other party. It was Pei Wenyao, a core disciple. The two of them had crossed paths before and even drank together. "Why are you here?" Pei Wenyao stepped forward and asked, "Did the clan send you here?" Zi Chen shook his head and said, "No, I'm here because of some personal grudges." "Why are you here? What's the matter?" Pei Wenyao told Zi Chen about his current situation, as well as the fact that the other 8 people had entered earlier. Zi Chen laughed. "Oh, so you're the only one left behind." Pei Wenyao nodded, feeling a little ashamed. Zi Chen patted his shoulder and said, "This matter has nothing to do with you. It's these people who didn't learn their lesson last time and even grew a temper. They are really hateful. Come, follow me in." Zi Chen walked forward. Originally, he had come here to settle the score, so he was naturally enraged at this moment. Is this appropriate? After all, we're here to do business. Pei Wenyao was a little worried. "Don't worry, these people are just asking for a beating. A beating should be enough. As for this so-called business, there's no need to ask for it. In the future, they'll come to us obediently." Zi Chen arrived at the gate and was immediately stopped. "Who are you?" Zi Chen said calmly, "I'm Zi Chen of the Holy Thunder Clan. I've come here to chase down the remnants of the demon realm. Get out of my way. Impudent! This is the desolate He clan. Where did the remnants of the demon realm come from?" The person who had come was startled at first. He hadn't expected this person to be the famous Zi Chen, but he quickly recovered and shouted. Because the He clan and Zi Chen didn't get along, they secretly spoke ill of Zi Chen. The search for the remnants of the demon realm cannot be delayed. I'll count to 3. If you don't get out of my way, I'll take it that you're trying to stop me. Zi Chen's eyes immediately turned cold. Stopping me from capturing the remnants of the demon realm is making an enemy of the entire saint spirit realm. You must be killed. The representatives of the other powers in the back all came forward. They had thought that Zi Chen had taken the initiative to apologize this time. They hadn't expected him to be so forceful. But if he was so forceful, would the He clan still do business with the Holy Thunder Clan? 3. Time's up. A burst of energy erupted from Zi Chen's body, directly sending the people in front of him flying. The people behind him were even more shocked. They didn't even count 1 or 2. It seemed that he had come purely to cause trouble. Zi Chen strode forward. Qing Yi, on the other hand, was just watching the show. Pei Wunyao was very nervous, but there was nothing he could do to change the situation. He could only follow. Worst case scenario, I'll just go back and be punished. Anyway, I can't take this lying down. Pei Wunyao clenched his fists and stepped forward. He seemed to want to fight. However, just as he entered, the huge gate behind him, which was like a city gate, collapsed with a loud rumble. He even tore down the door. There's an invasion. The destruction of the gate caused a huge commotion, so the other members of the He clan all sent messages. The 8 representatives had just met with the He clan's patriarch, who had come out to greet them. Both sides hadn't finished introducing themselves when they heard cries of alarm. The smile on the He clan's patriarch's face disappeared. He said angrily, "Which thief dares to cause trouble in the He clan? Is the He clan's army here?" Yes. Rays of light appeared one after another. They were holy spirits standing in the air. They were wearing battle armor, and each of them held a weapon in their hands. The expressions of the representatives of the 8 major forces changed slightly when they saw this, because those people's weapons were obviously rare soul weapons. Even the battle armor they wore had the aura of soul power, which should also have the effect of counteracting soul power. The patriarch saw the changes in the expressions of the representatives. He couldn't help but smile complacently. He secretly thought that this thief came at the right time, just right to let the He clan be in the limelight again. Go, capture the thief for me. After I finish my meeting with the guests, I'll torture the mastermind behind him. The patriarch of the He clan ordered. Yes, a group of holy spirits flew into the air and suppressed the disturbance at the gate. The patriarch of the He clan smiled and said, "It's just a small fry. You don't have to worry about it. Please come with me. The important matter is more important." In fact, the 8 people were very curious. Who on earth had the guts to cause trouble here? Was it really a guy who couldn't accept reality and didn't open his eyes? But the other party didn't invite them to watch the battle. As guests, they could only leave. At this moment, they heard a sound like a drum, accompanied by the sound of thunder. It was the holy spirits who had rushed out, one after another, were sent flying back. Their shining battle armors were already in tatters, and the large sabers in their hands were broken into 2 halves. Such a scene made everyone's expression change. Chapter 41-79. The patriarch of the He family's expression changed. He had carefully selected the He family soldiers, and each of them was an elite. They were all equipped with soul weapons and defensive armors. In such a situation where they were fully armed, it wouldn't be a problem for them to fight against 3 people. But now, all of them had returned in defeat, and even their soul weapons were destroyed. While the patriarch of the He family was shocked, his heart also ached for those soul weapons. Who is it? Which damned guy is it? He no longer cared about his face and roared angrily. At this moment, in the huge He family, there are holy spirits constantly flying towards the direction of the chaos to suppress it. However, they flew very fast and retreated very fast. No soul weapons were injured. Those who had soul weapons were injured. The situation was extremely out of control. Although the other party had not killed his way here, the He family had paid a great price to stop that person. The patriarch of the He family did not wait any longer. He decided to personally go and see who was it that had such courage. The other 8 people looked at each other and immediately followed. They also wanted to know who it was that had such powerful strength. However, when they saw the person who attacked, their expressions changed. The previous disbelief became a matter of course. It was only right. Since the door had collapsed, the other representatives naturally did not have to wait outside. Moreover, they all wanted to watch the show. In the end, they saw Zi Chen challenging the entire He family by himself. No one could stop him. His powerful combat strength destroyed soul, weapons one after another. Everyone felt their hearts ache, but they also felt extremely comfortable. Didn't your He family have a lot of soul weapons? Didn't you like to show off? Didn't you have a lot of face? Now that your soul weapons are destroyed, let's see what you can do. Pei Wunyao followed behind Ziqin. He felt a wave of excitement as he watched, and his mood was extremely comfortable. The face that he had lost previously was all recovered this time. Stop! At this moment, a loud shout sounded. It was the patriarch of the He family. He did not know Ziqin, but he knew who he was from the exclamations of the others. You dare to stop me? Ziqin looked at the head of the He family with a cold glint in his eyes. Ziqin, how dare you cause trouble in my He clan? The head of the He clan glared at Ziqin, not backing down. Ziqin said, Before I came here, I already said that I am chasing after the remnants of the demon world. So anyone who tries to stop me will die. Bullshit. You're chasing after your remnants. What does that have to do with us? The way I see it, you are clearly here to make trouble. The master of the He clan was unable to restrain his anger. Ziqin said calmly, You can eat whatever you want, but you can't speak whatever you want. Not long ago, I destroyed the demon realm's plan to invade through the Buddhist lands. I didn't expect a few rascals to escape, so I chased them all the way here. The master of the He family said coldly, You're talking nonsense. Why should we believe you? Why don't you say the God realm? Ziqin said in a deep voice, If you don't believe me, you can send a message to the Buddha clan and ask them. But right now, if you dare to stop me from chasing after the remnants of the demon world, then don't blame me for being impolite. Ziqin's eyes flashed with killing intent. Those who help the demon world will be killed without mercy. You just want to find an excuse, that's all. Do you want me to give you 2 more? For example, we still have remnants of the God realm here. The master of the He clan laughed coldly. Ziqin released his aura, indicating that he was in the 8 stars realm. Do you see? I broke through not long ago because I profited from a disaster during the fight against the demon world. So, anyone who tries to stop me will die. After Ziqin released his powerful aura, many people's expressions changed again. They knew when Ziqin had broken through to the 7 stars realm. It hadn't been many years. Under normal circumstances, even if Ziqin was different from the rest, it would take at least several hundred years before he could break through again. But to break through again in just a few years, they couldn't help but guess that he had encountered a great opportunity. Before, they thought that Ziqin was just looking for an excuse, but now they all believed it. Get lost! Ziqin roared angrily and charged forward. Pum! The master of the He clan, who was blocking his way, was sent flying. Even if he was a 9 stars realm expert, he was still nothing in front of Ziqin. Now, unless the Lord came personally. Master! Many people of the He clan saw this and immediately flew into the air. Some stopped Ziqin, and some went to protect the master. The battle broke out again. In fact, it couldn't be called a battle because everyone was just passively taking a beating. They couldn't do anything to Ziqin. Everywhere Ziqin passed by, it was a scene of people falling off their horses. The 8 spectators had already retreated. Just like how they didn't speak for Pei Wunyao before, they didn't speak for the He clan now, because they knew that their words didn't have any weight in front of Ziqin. Ziqin, you've gone too far. The master of the He clan said angrily, Do you really think there's no one in the He clan? Please, Lord Ancestor. Hearing this, Ziqin's expression didn't change at all, and he continued to move forward. The master of the He clan looked at Ziqin with a face full of pride, as if he was looking at a dead man. You're going to kneel down and beg for forgiveness soon. The expressions of the others also changed. Some were already waiting to see a good show. However, after many moments, the Lord still didn't appear. The He clan is in trouble. Please, Lord Ancestor. The master of the He clan shouted again. Still, there was no response. Thieves are invading. Please, Lord Ancestor of the He clan. The master of the He clan said again, but this time his voice was trembling, and he was no longer as confident as before. Please, Lord Ancestor. The others also shouted in unison, but still there was no response. Many people could see that something was wrong. Boom! A powerful aura burst out from Zi-Chen's body, and the holy spirits of the He clan around him were all sent flying. Someone, go and call the ancestor. Look, they're all calling for you. Do you want to go out and have a look? In an antique room, Chung Ho sat casually, and a person stood opposite him. He was the holy spirit of the He clan. He was also the only holy spirit of the He clan. He was the strongest person in the He clan, and he was respected as the ancestor. However, today he was not even qualified to sit in front of Chung Ho. Hearing Chung Ho's words, the Holy Spirit immediately shook his head and said, "No, it's okay. Your Excellency's matter is more important." At this moment, the Holy Spirit complained incessantly in his heart. Didn't they say that Leijinka was the only Holy Spirit of the ancient era in the world? Why did the person in front of him give him an extremely dangerous feeling? Standing next to him, he couldn't even breathe smoothly, and he didn't even want to make a move. The gap between them was too big. "Are you sure you don't want to go and have a look?" Chung Ho asked. "There's really no need." The Holy Spirit of the He clan smiled. At this moment, an anxious voice suddenly came from outside the door. "Ancestor, there are thieves who have forced their way into the clan and are causing trouble. Ancestor, please come and suppress them." Chung Ho looked at the Holy Spirit with a playful smile. "Get lost." The Holy Spirit of the He clan was furious. He didn't even make a move, but a force appeared from outside and directly sent the person flying. Chapter 4180. Chung Ho's words shocked the He clan's holy master. He thought that Zi-Chen was here to cause trouble. The demonic realm's plan was ruined by Zi-Chen. He sensed a few forces that might be cooperating with the demonic realm through their aura. Chung Ho tapped on the table with his finger. This is the first place that Zi-Chen thinks might be in cahoots with the demonic realm. Sir, there is no such thing. The He clan has never dealt with the Xingmo region, let alone the demonic realm. The He clan's holy master's forehead was covered in cold sweat. This was a taboo in the saint spirit world. It was the bottom line of the saint spirit world. If any forces dared to cross this line, they would definitely die. The saint spirit world had adopted a zero-tolerance policy on this matter. They would rather kill the wrong person than let the wrong person go. Chung Ho smiled and said, "Have a seat. Don't be nervous." The holy master did not dare to sit down, but he wiped off his cold sweat and let out a sigh of relief. He realized that he would not be standing there if the Lord had not concluded that the He clan had nothing to do with this matter, since the He clan's innocence had been proven. But the holy master still did not want to leave. His intention was clear. The holy master was angry, not at Chung Ho or Zi-Chen, but at the master of the He clan. He could have provoked anyone, but he had to provoke Zi-Chen. The holy master had made up his mind to change the master of the He clan after this matter was over. The current master of the He clan was too stupid. Zi-Chen would be unstoppable if the holy master did not show up. At this moment, the representatives of the major forces witnessed how one person could be as powerful as an entire force. The He clan had become famous recently, and their soul weapons were coveted by all the major forces. However, these soul weapons were useless in front of Zi-Chen. "You have a lot of people, right? Injure all of them. You have a lot of soul weapons, right? Then I will break all of them." The master of the He clan was in despair. The holy master of the He clan did not show up even though such a big thing had happened. What does this mean? The battle continued until there was no one in front of Zi-Chen. In fact, there had always been people charging forward. If they didn't show off now, when would they? However, as soon as Zi-Chen said, "Kill without mercy," everyone stopped. That was because those who had defended the family and expressed their loyalty had at most been heavily injured, and none of them had died. Of course, that was because Zi-Chen hadn't killed them. However, with Zi-Chen's murderous intent, anyone who dared to step forward would be courting death. No one dared to provoke Zi-Chen anymore, and the entire He family became extremely quiet. Even those who were heavily injured no longer wailed. Zi-Chen, this time, I must go to the Holy Thunder Clan to seek justice. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you're a member of the Holy Thunder Clan. The patriarch of the He clan gritted his teeth and said, in this Holy Spirit world there are rules. If everyone was like you, using their status to bully others, the Holy Spirit world would have been in chaos long ago. Do whatever you want, but today I will only go after the remnants. Zi-Chen stomped his feet, and the highest floor of the He clan collapsed directly, along with the buildings within a radius of dozens of miles. This was the residence of the patriarch, and its importance was second only to the Holy Master's cultivation ground. Now that this place was destroyed, it was obviously a slap to the entire He clan's face. This was a disgrace. For a moment, many people's gazes towards Zi-Chen became filled with resentment. Zi-Chen didn't care at all. He smiled faintly and said, "Oh, I don't agree with what you said just now, because I didn't use my status to bully others. I only relied on my own strength." After that, another building collapsed. At this moment, a person walked over from afar. He seemed to be in a panic, and his teeth were chattering when he walked. Earlier, he was sent flying by the Holy Master as a reward. However, he was soon pulled back by a force, and then he heard the Holy Master's order. The content of the message almost scared him to death. When he arrived at the scene, the one-star Holy Spirit mustered up his courage and said, "Under the orders of the Holy Master, He-Jan is incompetent. He is now removed from the position of the Patriarch." Once those words were said, the people that were originally burning with rage all turned to look at the person who had sent the message. One of the Holy Masters shouted angrily, "You bastard! What are you talking about? You are just a one-star Holy Spirit. How dare you talk big here? Do you believe that we will cripple you?" After being threatened, the Holy Spirit, who was originally very frightened, suddenly said angrily, "This is the Patriarch's order. If you have any objections, go and complain to the Patriarch." Who dared to go to the Holy Master Patriarch? For a moment, everyone looked at Patriarch He-Jan. They didn't understand why the Patriarch would remove He-Jan from the position of the Patriarch in front of everyone at this time. Some people understood. For example, the spectators who came for the discussion. Originally, Zi-Chen had already stopped. If it weren't for the Patriarch's threat, the He clan wouldn't have lost so much face. The Holy Master didn't show up for a long time. Obviously, he was restrained. As the Patriarch, how could he not see this? Now that he threatened Zi-Chen, wasn't he embarrassing himself? If he embarrassed himself, wasn't he embarrassing the Holy Master who was restrained over there? Looking further, if He-Jan didn't cause trouble at the beginning and blocked the people of the Holy Thunder Clan outside, even if he didn't receive special treatment, he could help persuade Zi-Chen when he came to find trouble with him. However, he deliberately embarrassed the Holy Thunder Clan and encountered Zi-Chen chasing after the remnants of the Demon Clan. This was too much of a coincidence. The He clan suffered a great loss in today's battle. Who would bear the responsibility? It definitely wouldn't be Zi-Chen. It couldn't be the Holy Thunder Clan either. Then, there could only be one person. For a moment, everyone looked at He-Jan. A moment ago, he was still the powerful Patriarch. But in the next moment, he became the scapegoat. The change was so fast that He-Jan and his people couldn't come back to their senses. It seemed that, at this moment, faith and hatred were meaningless. They had begun to calculate the gains and losses in their hearts. Because once He-Jan lost his position as the Patriarch, the interests of the clan would naturally be redistributed. I, He-Jan, will naturally follow the Patriarch's wishes. But this is not the time to talk about this. The enemy is invading, and we should work together to defeat the enemy. He-Zhan snorted coldly. His words were wrapped in righteousness. Zichen looked at He-Zhan. The enemy you are talking about, is it me? You use the demon clan as an excuse to deliberately cause trouble in the He clan. If you are not the enemy, who is the enemy? He-Zhan's voice was cold, and his eyes were full of resentment. Come, take down the enemy first. He-Deng, you take over the position of the patriarch. You handle this matter. Suddenly, the voice of the patriarch of the He clan was heard. Yes, patriarch. The middle-aged man named He-Deng immediately had a touch of joy in his eyes. As for the holy spirits, who were originally about to attack Zichen, they immediately retracted their attacks. He-Zhan was completely dumbfounded. He-Deng cupped his fists to the sky and said, May I ask Zichen, have you found any traces of the demon clan here? Zichen shook his head and said, Not yet. He-Deng said again, Do you need our cooperation? Zichen glanced at the surrounding ruins and said, You have already been very cooperative. I hope you will forgive us for disturbing you this time. Farewell, we will meet again someday. The clan still needs to be reorganized. This one won't see you off. No need. Zichen left. The others were stunned. Chapter 40-181. Zichen left. Before he left, he cupped his fists and apologized politely. It was as if the He family had really cooperated with Zichen to find the remaining demons. He-Deng began to instruct everyone to deal with the aftermath of the battle. He did not mention a word about Zichen's trouble. The other representatives silently observed all of this. They had to admit that He-Deng was the smartest. As for that He-Zhan, he was someone who couldn't think straight. He was happy to see He-Zhan find trouble with the Holy Thunder Clan and embarrass the Holy Thunder Clan, but it did not mean that they would accept it. After all, the Holy Clans had existed for a long time. They were not to be provoked by a family that had mastered the art of making soul weapons. After instructing everyone to deal with the matter, He-Deng turned to the representatives and said, Everyone, I am very sorry. Such a big thing happened in the clan today. I am afraid that we cannot discuss it with you for the time being. Please give us a few days. We will make arrangements for you in the next few days. The biggest inn in the city was owned by the He family. It was not a problem to make arrangements for these people. The representatives all left. Now that the head of the He family had changed, there would definitely be internal conflicts. He-Deng said that it would take a few days to settle down, but that was because the Lord was there. If the Lord did not say anything, this internal conflict might cause the He family to fall apart. Because He-Zhan had been in charge of the family for many years, their interests were intertwined. It was very difficult to uproot them, but it was different with the holy sage. In the face of absolute power, He-Zhan, the head of the family, could only be a scapegoat. In fact, this incident happened because he didn't handle it well. If he hadn't stopped Pei Wenyao from entering and deliberately humiliated the Holy Thunder tribe, Zichen wouldn't have torn down the door as soon as he arrived. When Zichen left, Cheng Ho also left. Pei Wenyao also left with Zichen. After leaving the city, the three of them stopped. Let's go back. Don't worry about this. In the future, the He family will go to the Holy Thunder Clan personally. Compared to the He family's weaponsmithing skills, we have an endless treasure trove. After hearing Zichen's words, Pei Wenyao calmed down a lot. You're not going back, he asked. There's one more place we need to go. I'm guessing the demon remnants are hiding there. I have to go take a look, Zichen said. Are there really demon remnants? Pei Wenyao asked in shock. What else? Do you really think I'm here to cause trouble? Zichen said in a low voice. Perhaps in the near future, something big will happen in Saint Spirit World. After Zichen and Qing Yi left the area, Cheng Ho's figure appeared. He asked, Where are we going next? To Wu Luo Starfield. Zichen's next target was the Chui family. The Wulua starry space where the Chui family was located was a force that was relatively far away from the other major forces. In this star field, there weren't any famous resources, and the Chui family's reputation couldn't be considered too great. However, the reason why Zichen was concerned about Cuijing was because of the trip to the Lost World. Zichen had a relatively deep impression of Cuijing. Zichen arrived outside the Chui family's mansion. Compared to that ostentatious family, the Chui family was much more low-key. Zichen walked forward. Outside the Chui family's mansion, there were 4 people guarding it. Seeing Zichen and Qing Yi arrive, the 4 people lined up. The leader said in a low voice, "Who are you?" Zichen said indifferently, "Those who are chasing the demon remnants. Quickly get out of the way." The 4 people were startled, very puzzled. Zichen didn't stop walking, but Qing Yi slightly slowed down her pace, moving half of her body away from Zichen. The person who came said something inexplicable and then wanted to break in. This made the 4 of them somewhat at a loss. After all, this kind of thing had never happened before. At this time, a person walked out from the mansion's open door. I was wondering who it was. "Isn't this the Grand Holy Thunder Clan's Lord Zichen? How come you have the time to come to my Chui family today?" It was an old man who greeted them with a smile on his face. The 4 guards, who weren't even holy spirits, were startled when they heard the old man's words. When they looked at Zichen again, their expressions changed. Zichen's reputation was too great. They had naturally heard of Zichen, and had even evaluated him over tea. They hadn't expected to see the main character today. "You can all leave. This old man will personally receive Lord Zichen." The old man waved his hand. The 4 people clasped their hands in salute. As they left, they glanced at Zichen and Qing Yi. Anyone who could follow Zichen around was definitely not ordinary. "I wonder what Lord Zichen has come to the Chui family for?" asked the old man with a smile. Zichen said, "I'm pursuing the remnants of the demon race. I suspect they've run to the Chui family." "Oh, there's such a thing?" The old man's expression changed. Zichen said, "Do you think I'm joking with you?" The old man said in a low voice, "When it comes to the demon race, no one would dare to joke." Zichen said, "So, anyone who gets in my way will die." The old man immediately stepped to the side. "If Lord Zichen suspects the Chui family, please follow me." Zichen strode forward. The old man followed behind Zichen and said, "When it comes to the matter of the demon race, this old man also has a zero-tolerance attitude. So from now on, Senior Zichen, feel free to search. This old man will always be by your side." Zichen didn't say anything. He just kept walking forward. The Chui family's attitude was the complete opposite of the He family's. Zichen wanted to get angry, but he couldn't find the opportunity. But in this situation, Zichen was increasingly certain that the Chui family had something to do with the demon race. As Zichen walked deeper into the Chui family, more and more people heard that Zichen had come and came to see what was going on. Seeing Zichen act so unbridled in the Chui family, quite a few people had looks of dissatisfaction in their eyes. But they were only dissatisfied and didn't complain. This made Zichen feel very helpless. "I'm going to take a look around here." Zichen pointed to a building. The old man's face had an awkward expression. "What is it inconvenient?" Zichen looked at the other party. "It's the place of seclusion of a 9-star. "It's not easy," the old man said. Zichen said indifferently, "It's just a 9-star. I thought it was some big shot. If he's not happy, I'll just pull him out and beat him up. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Not long ago, I killed dozens of 9-star holy spirits who colluded with the demon race, and the sole weapon in their hands was also destroyed by me." Those who followed him all had angry expressions on their faces. Obviously, Zichen didn't give the Chui family any face. Catching the demon race spy is important. I won't discuss with you. Special times call for special treatment. Zichen walked straight in. Of course, he didn't knock on the door. Instead, he broke the door and walked in. He was undoubtedly here to make trouble. For a moment, all kinds of killing intent appeared outside, but they seemed to have received a mandatory order. No one took the initiative to provoke. The 9-star Holy Spirit, who was in seclusion, was awakened, but he didn't say anything. Instead, he swallowed his anger and let Zichen search. Of course, he found nothing. Zichen walked out of the room. Looking at the angry crowd, he said mockingly, "Do you not like me?" No one responded. Chapter 4182. If Zichen was provoking the 9-star Saint Spirit before, then Zichen was provoking everyone. Moreover, he was provoking them with a face that deserved a beating. It was as if he was saying, "Come and hit me." Even the old man next to him was stunned. After all, he had been very humble and cooperative. He didn't expect Zichen to still be dissatisfied. Then the old man shouted, "Everyone back off. Don't interfere with the Lord's search for the spy." How could there be a spy here? He's just making things up. He's deliberately using this excuse to make trouble for the Chui family. Someone in the crowd said angrily. His roar could be considered to have spoken the thoughts of many people. He was just making trouble. Why didn't they expel him by force? The old man's face immediately darkened. "Take him away and slap him." Immediately, someone came forward and dragged him away. When the others saw this, they scattered. Zichen felt very bored. He thought there was still a fight to be fought. He didn't expect the Chui family to be so cooperative. Zichen. Suddenly, a voice came from not far away. Zichen turned and saw Cui Jing. "Why have you come to the Chui family?" Cui Jing seemed very surprised. She went straight to Zichen's side and bowed to the old man next to her. "I'm here to see you," Zichen said, "and also to look for the demon spy." "Demon spy? Our Chui family?" Cui Jing laughed. "Are you kidding? How could there be a demon spy here?" "Nonsense," the old man said in a deep voice. "Do you think this is a joke?" Cui Jing quickly restrained her smile. Zichen waved his hand. "It's no big deal. Since Cui Jing is here, let her take me around. Old man, go busy yourself with other things." The old man nodded. "That's good. Young people have a common language. Lord Zichen, if you have any orders, just tell the little girl. We will do our best to cooperate. Now, I will go to the manor to prepare some good wine and good dishes, just in time to let Sir taste our Chui family specialty." Zichen cupped his fist and said, "Thank you for your kindness, Senior. Zichen appreciates your kindness, but there's no need for a meal. We'll be leaving in a moment. There are still a few suspicious places we need to investigate." After the old man left, Cui Jing led Zichen and Qing Yi around. Perhaps it was because of Cui Jing, but Zichen didn't go to those buildings anymore. Instead, he chose some shady paths. Looking at the playful Zichen, Cui Jing couldn't help but ask suspiciously, "Are you really here to look for demon spies?" Zichen laughed. "I was just kidding. I just wanted to see you." Cui Jing curled her lips and said, "You have a great beauty by your side and you still say such things. Aren't you afraid the beauty will be jealous?" Zichen said, "Let me introduce you to my friend, Qing Yi. Qing Yi, this is Cui Jing. We've met many times in the lost world." Qing Yi nodded with a smile. The two of them could be considered to have exchanged greetings. The three of them walked along the path in silence. Cui Jing seemed to be unable to bear the silent atmosphere. She asked, "Since you're here to find spies, why are you walking in a place like this?" "Finding spies is secondary. I have a question I want to ask you," Zichen said. Cui Jing didn't understand. "What question?" Zichen said, "Why didn't you attack back then?" Cui Jing said, "What are you talking about? How come I don't understand?" Zichin said, "When we first met, your people wanted to start a fight, but in the end, you didn't attack. I'm very curious as to why. Is it because you don't understand us? Or do you think you have no chance of winning?" Cui Jing fell silent. Qing Yi was very flabbergasted. She had thought that Zichen and this little girl would have some sort of love and hate story. She hadn't expected the two of them to have such a relationship. Zichen said, "There was another time when I was fighting in front of the last hall of opportunity in the Lost World. At the time, you were standing behind me. Why didn't you take advantage of my weakness to attack me? I gave you a chance." Cui Jing's face suddenly paled. "You knew." Zichen said coolly, "I don't have any other skills, but my ability to sense killing intent is incredible. I could sense your killing intent several times, so I gave you a chance. Even if I didn't have one, I had to create one for you. But what I don't understand is why you didn't attack in the end. My guess is that you must have some sort of trump card on you that could give me a fatal blow, right?" Cui Jing shook her head. "I don't know. I don't know the reason." Zichen asked, "Well, that leads to the second question. We've never met before, so of course there's no enmity between us. Why did you want to kill me? Or rather, why did the Cui clan target me?" Cui Jing shook her head again. "I don't know." Zichen said, "That means you just received an order from your clan, and were just carrying it out." Cui Jing nodded. Zichen's face was full of regret. "Then all the more reason you should have attacked. Even if you didn't succeed, I've always been merciful to women, so I wouldn't have killed you. Plus, you wouldn't have been punished by your clan after you returned." Cui Jing looked up at Zichen. "How do you know?" Zichen said angrily. "Who in the Cui clan doesn't know that I, Zichen, am here? Why have I come? But you don't know. Clearly, you're being punished like a prisoner." Cui Jing said seriously, "Zichen, you're too scary. I was right not to attack you. If my clan became your enemy, the entire clan would be in danger. You overestimate me and underestimate your clan." Zichen shook his head, then turned and began to walk back the way he had come. "Where are you going?" Cui Jing asked. "I've been away from home for too long. I want to go home." Zichen stretched lazily, then walked back the way he had come. "I'm a bit tired. I want to go home and sleep." Qing Yi smiled and followed after him. Cui Jing didn't move. She didn't know what Zichen wanted to do. "What are you waiting for?" Zichen said without looking back. "Send me off. It's not like you can't find your way back." Cui Jing stamped her foot, but still followed him. Before coming, someone had said that as long as he completed this mission, his period of confinement would be over, and everything that had happened last time would be forgotten. Cui Jing followed Zichen all the way to the gate. Along the way, they didn't encounter a single person. Clearly, there were orders from above to avoid Zichen and not to provoke him. As they left, Zichen turned and looked at Cui Jing. He reached out and patted her head. "Girl," he said, "in the future, don't worry about growing your body. Your brain needs to grow as well. Otherwise, you'll be wasting your body." Cui Jing's cheeks flushed red. Just as Cui Jing was bashful, a voice entered her mind. "Since you didn't attack me, I'll give you a free rule of survival. Find a chance to leave the Cui clan." Chapter 4183. You didn't look carefully enough this time. After leaving the Cui clan, Qing Yi looked at Zichen. Zichen said, "It's useless to look carefully because it's impossible to find. If the other party was really cooperating with the demons, they would have done it in secret. If Zichen could find the problem with a casual look, that would be a big problem. But the Cui clan's cooperative attitude was very questionable and very suspicious. Zichen had a vague guess in his heart. After leaving the Cui clan, Zichen saw Cheng Ho, who shook his head, indicating that he didn't find anything. Zichen wasn't surprised. Where are you going next? Cheng Ho asked. I'm going back to the clan. Zichen said, I don't know how long I'll be gone this time, and I have some things to take care of. After that, Zichen looked at Qing Yi, feeling very apologetic. He was going to accompany her on a trip. Who knew that he would have to go back halfway? Qing Yi smiled and said, We've been out for a long time, so I'm going back to take a look. Cheng Ho brought the two of them to the Holy Thunder Clan's territory. They didn't go directly to Zichen's world, and didn't even get close to the Holy Thunder Clan. Zichen was a bit puzzled. Cheng Ho said, I've never liked that shrewd old thing. When you come out, I'll come to pick you up if you're still here. In the Holy Thunder Clan, the only one who could be called an old thing by Cheng Ho was probably Leijinka, the ancient sage. He was the #1 person in the world, and everyone respected him. But when it came to Cheng Ho, he was an old thing. Zichen didn't say much, and the two of them said goodbye and left. After returning to the clan, Qing Yi checked the progress of the teleportation formation and then went back. Zichen called Zhou Lina over and told her that he had to leave for a while. He didn't know the exact time, so she had full authority to make decisions in this world. As for the teleportation array to the Holy Talisman Realm, he could get someone to send a message to the Talisman Hall. At that time, both sides would discuss it. Zhou Lina was very skilled and experienced in such matters. She was even more experienced than Zichen. In the end, Zichen said, after a while, send someone to the Lightning Protector and bring back the resources that belong to me. Or we can set a time for them to deliver the resources. Zhou Lina memorized everything. After that, the two of them discussed some details, such as the future development of the world and the direction of the city. This even included the increase of cities. Zichen gave all the authority to Zhou Lina and finally gave instructions to Zhono and the others. After that, Zichen left the Martial Heaven continent and went to the core city to see Fu Lao. The two of them discussed some more details. After the Palace Master's return, the Holy Talisman Hall's situation had improved. Coupled with the friendships they had formed with many Holy Talisman Masters, the Holy Talisman Hall's reputation had soared. As for Fu Lao, the Vice Palace Master, he was now worthy of his title. He had many experts under him. Hearing Zichen's words, Fu Lao said, Don't worry, I'll pay attention to your world. After the matter of the lost world, I believe that no one will dare to make trouble for you. After leaving the Holy Talisman Hall, Zichen went to the Lightning Protector and had an agreement with the person in charge here. At the same time, he sent a message to Grace, who was far away in the lost world. After saying what needed to be said and doing what needed to be done, Zichen returned to the Martial Heaven continent. Then he went to find the vestigial race's Tasha and told her that he would be leaving temporarily. The vestigial race was currently able to rely on themselves in Zichen's world, but it was inconvenient for them to appear now. It would take at least hundreds or even thousands of years for them to appear. After chatting with Tasha for a while, Zichen left. At present, other than Zhou Lina, no one else knew of the vestigial race's existence. Zichen came to the sky above the Martial Heaven continent. The power of the rules naturally appeared and isolated the surroundings. The little fairy appeared. You can do whatever you want in the future, but when I return, I must see that world within a world appear. Zichen took out the soul-gathering crystal mansion and released infinite light. The little fairy's eyes suddenly lit up. This was something that it had coveted for a long time. It immediately pounced forward, but it missed. I can let you devour it, but you can't touch the core. Zichen warned. There was a spirit inside. If the little fairy devoured it all, the old man who had guarded the Soul Palace for many years would disappear. Don't worry, I have more experience in dealing with this kind of thing than you. I know how to protect it. The little fairy excitedly took the Soul Palace. The shocking weight made its body sink, and it was even more satisfied. This time, Zichen did not bring the Soul Palace to the demon world. He only brought the Thunder Divine Palace and Yu Guei. Before leaving, Zi-Qin also reorganized the equipment on his body. He took what he should take and left what he should keep. The leaves of the Tree of Lightning that he had obtained in the past were also left behind. To him now, these things were almost useless. However, in the eyes of the Holy Thunder Clan, they were still priceless. After doing all this, Zi-Qin carefully thought about it again. After confirming that he had given out all the instructions and attention, he once again left the martial heaven continent. When he arrived at the agreed location with Cheng Ho, when Cheng Ho saw Zi-Qin, he was very surprised. "You came so quickly. I thought you would keep dawdling at least a few months." Zi-Qin said in all seriousness, "When have I ever delayed the things that I've promised?" "It's just that." Zi-Qin was a bit embarrassed. Cheng Ho asked, "Just what?" Zi-Qin hesitated, then said, "It's just that I've never been to the demon world, and I don't know what the situation is like there. Although I'm already an 8-star expert, I don't have anything to protect my life. If I encounter a large-scale pursuit, I'm afraid I'll die." Zi-Qin, don't worry about dying. I'm just worried that I won't be able to complete the mission and lose face for everyone. Cheng Ho said with a puzzled expression, "Why can't I understand what you're saying? Can you say something I can understand?" Zi-Qin said without any trace of politeness, "I need something to protect my life. Otherwise, I won't go." Cheng Ho sneered, "Why don't you just say you want benefits?" Zi-Qin said with a righteous expression, "I don't care about benefits or not. I just want to be able to come back alive. Furthermore, I want to know a few things about the demon world. I want to know how they can discover that I'm not an invader. I can't explain that to you. We'll talk about it when you get there." Cheng Ho said, "As for the benefits you mentioned, I can give you some, but it depends on whether or not you have the ability to take them." Cheng Ho grabbed Zi-Qin's collar, and the two of them disappeared. When they reappeared, Zi-Qin saw the tall Tree of Lightning. Chapter 4184. The Tree of the Lightning Ancestor was as tall as ever, and its trunk was like a wall that could block the wind. The tree was filled with fruits of all shapes and sizes, and they shone brightly. Han Nu was currently recuperating under the tree, and her face was unhealthily pale. No wonder Cheng Ho had come to find him. Han Nu was injured. She was as cold as ice, and the air around her seemed to contain boundless frost. Han Nu opened her eyes, and when she saw Zi-Qin, a smile appeared on her face. That smile was like a warm wind that melted away all of the coldness. Cheng Ho curled his lips in disapproval. "He didn't make things difficult for you, did he?" Han Nu stepped forward and took the initiative to hug Zi-Qin. Cheng Ho's expression was somewhat nervous. Zi-Qin was tightly hugged by Han Nu, and he slowly shook his head. He was very loyal. Cheng Ho let out a sigh of relief and gave Zi-Qin a look that said, "At least you know what's good for you." "It's good that he didn't make things difficult for you," Han Nu said. "This time, I sent you to the Devil Realm because I couldn't find a suitable candidate. I had no other choice." Han Nu pulled Zi-Qin to sit under the Tree of the Lightning Ancestor, and then she told him what had happened recently. Han Nu had received information that the Devil Realm seemed to be preparing a plan to deal with the Saint Spirit Realm, so she wanted Zi-Qin to go. As for the source of the information, Zi-Qin didn't ask. He believed Han Nu wouldn't lie to him. "What's the situation in the Devil Realm? If I go in, will I be hunted down like a variant race member?" Zi-Qin asked the question that worried him the most. After all, any devil who came to this world would be hunted down relentlessly. There are spirit race members in the Devil Realm, just like the Saint Devil region of our world. As long as you don't deliberately reveal yourself, you won't be targeted, Han Nu said. Zi-Qin didn't understand. "What do you mean by deliberately targeting?" Off to the side, Cheng Ho looked at Zi-Qin, who seemed to be trying to find something to talk about. He snorted. "As long as you don't stupidly carve I'm from the spirit race on your forehead. No one will pay you any attention." Han Nu stared at Chung Ho, as if she was blaming him for speaking too harshly. "Don't listen to his nonsense," she said. "It's not that exaggerated." But the logic was still the same. Zi-chan was relieved, but there was still one last problem. How could he come back? If you want to go back, where can't you go? In the demon-suppressing sect and the Buddhist race's battlefield, who will stop you? Chung Ho felt very awkward. At this moment, Zi-chan was still holding onto Han Nu's hand. Clearly, he was taking advantage of her. He purposely forgot that this might be because Lady Frost was holding on to Zi-chin. Zi-chin nodded again, indicating that he understood. After that, Zi-chin began to ask all sorts of questions. Occasionally, he would say something righteous, which made Han Nu giggle. Chung Ho watched the two of them holding hands, and his heart was filled with anger. He snorted coldly and said, "Didn't you say you wanted some benefits? Didn't you say that you couldn't come here for nothing?" Zi-chin scratched his head. "Did I say that?" Chung Ho's lips curled into a cold smile. "You didn't." Zi-chin suddenly understood. "Oh, I think you did." But after seeing Big Sister Han Nu and hearing her explanation, I decided to forget about it. Big Sister Han Nu has stayed here for countless years to fight against the demon race for the sake of the spirit race's grand plan. All I did was make a trip to the demon race's territory. If I asked for a reward, would I still be human? Chung Ho couldn't say anything in response, as if he were the one asking for a reward. Just as he was about to defend himself, Han Nu said coldly, "Shut up. You don't have the right to speak here." Chung Ho obediently shut his mouth. But who could understand the grievance in his heart? This trip to the demon realm is indeed fraught with danger. But since I've been here all this time, I don't have anything suitable for you to protect yourself with. Han Nu seemed to be in a difficult position. Zi-chan immediately said, "I already said that I don't want anything. Compared to you, I'm nothing. Don't worry, I'll be careful." Chung Ho curled his lip. This guy was too hypocritical. As he spoke, Zi-chin looked up at the sky. The tree of the lightning ancestor covered the sky, and its branches were covered with dazzling, multicolored fruits. Han Nu's eyes suddenly lit up. Got it. She looked back at the tree of the lightning ancestor. It stood there, motionless. Even its leaves were no longer trembling, as if it were dead. Chung Ho, who had taken in all of this, began to curse in his heart. This Zi-chin was really cunning. He actually used his eyes to warn Han Nu. This foolish woman thought that Zi-chin was a good person. Last time, he and the lightning ancestor had seen Zi-chin's true nature. He wasn't a good person at all. Looking at the motionless tree of the lightning ancestor, Han Nu sneered. "Oh, you're playing dead in front of me? You're quite capable. Do you believe that I won't let you live?" This was the true Han Nu, only in front of Zi-chin. Only then would she show her other side. The tree of the lightning ancestor began to sway. Perhaps this was a greeting. "What are you standing there for? Zi-chin wants to go to the demon realm. Why don't you hurry up and express your gratitude?" Han Nu said unhappily, "You're hanging so many fruits on your body. Is it just for decoration?" The tree of the lightning ancestor began to sway. No one knew what it meant. A cold aura surged around Han Nu, and the surrounding temperature plummeted. Faint white ice crystals appeared in the air. Only the air around Zi-chin was normal. Clearly, Lei Shu didn't agree. "I didn't hear you clearly. Could you please say it again?" Han Nu looked at Lei Shu. This time, her tone was a little gentler. The surrounding cold aura made Chung Ho shiver. He then retreated, holding the thought that this matter had nothing to do with him. During this time, he gave Lei Shu a thumbs up, as if to say, "Brother, you're really strong. You dare to challenge Han Nu." The tree of the lightning ancestor began to sway. A fruit fell on its own. It was unwilling, but it could only admit defeat. This was a black fruit. It seemed to be condensed by demonic energy and left the branch. The fruit fell like a bolt of lightning, directly charging toward Ziqin. From the looks of it, even if Ziqin didn't die, he would be seriously injured. Han Nu raised her eyebrows slightly. The fruit of extreme speed instantly stopped in front of Ziqin. Then, it gently touched Ziqin's forehead. The fruit disappeared. In the next moment, Ziqin's entire body was enveloped in black light, as if he had been infected by demonic energy. Ziqin stood there without moving. After the demonic energy of the fruit entered his body, it attached to his power. There was no sense of discomfort. It was as if he had put on a layer of clothing. However, this power was limited and couldn't completely envelop him. Ziqin's body lit up. He had mobilized the power that had not been infected. The meaning was obvious. Chung Ho cursed in his heart. He believed that, at this moment, Lei Shu's feelings were the same as his. Han Nu glanced at the tree of the lightning ancestor. The tree of the lightning ancestor continued to sway. It reluctantly threw out 2 more black fruits. Only then did it envelop Ziqin's power. It was like a layer of disguise. Although he didn't look like a demon, he didn't look like a saint spirit of the spirit world either. Han Nu nodded and said, "With this layer of disguise, you'll be safer." Ziqin was safe, but the tree of the lightning ancestor was heartbroken. These were the fruits it had obtained after devouring the saint spirit of the demon world. They were truly difficult to obtain. It didn't want to waste any of them, but it had indeed wasted 3 today. Han Nu looked up at the tree of the lightning ancestor and said, "This is just a disguise. Where's the life-saving one?" The tree of the lightning ancestor was furious, but he didn't dare to say anything. He could only drop another fruit. This fruit was extremely bright and contained a surging vitality. Clearly, it was a life-saving treasure. That's more like it. Han Nu was satisfied. Then, she reminded Ziqin to be careful. Then, the tree of the lightning ancestor sent Ziqin away. The branches fell from above and wrapped around Ziqin's body, but only his feet were exposed. Thus, Ziqin was thrown out by the tree of the lightning ancestor. Chapter 4185. Master, what are we going to do? Within a residence, a graceful woman was deeply worried. Her eyes were red from crying. Next to her, a man stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his brow furrowed. Do we really have to let little Qing go to the city, Lord's mansion? Will she be able to come out alive? The woman sobbed softly, her heart filled with grief. The man's face was filled with annoyance. You think I want to do this? You think I don't know where that place is? But the city lord's mansion suspects us of colluding with the Saint Spirit Realm and has already sent people here. What can I do? But we don't even know where the Saint Spirit Realm is, the woman said miserably. How could we have dealings with the spirit realm? If even you know this, do you think others don't? Do you think the city lord doesn't know? The man's face was filled with anger. It's all because the young city lord has taken a fancy to little Qing. I've told you many times that the young city lord has recently returned and that you shouldn't go out. But you didn't listen. Now, if we don't hand her over, everyone in the Lien family will die for colluding with the spirit realm. There was a knock on the door, and the couple stopped arguing. An old man walked in, his back stooped. Master, madam, he said, the city lord's people are urging us. If we don't let the young miss out, they'll go back. Once those people went back, the city lord's army would be waiting for the Lien family. How could this be? I've been abstaining from meat and praying to Buddha for many years. I've never done anything wrong. How could this be? The woman looked at the sky outside the window, her voice choked with sobs. You have the nerve to say that we have Buddha here? There are only devils here. You don't believe in devils, but you pray to Buddha. How could our days be good? Today's little Qing is your fault, the man said angrily. The woman clasped her hands together and murmured, "Buddha, please protect us. Please protect us from this calamity. In this city, the city lord is the heavens. How can your Buddha be saved? Could it be that a powerful expert will fall from the heavens and save us from this calamity?" Seeing the woman praying to Buddha again, the man's heart filled with anger. The steward suddenly looked out the window. The woman's expression changed. A person appeared in the air, descending from the sky. No, it fell from the sky. With a loud boom, the roof of a house was pierced through, followed by a scream. "Oh no, it's Chinga!" The man exclaimed and immediately rushed out of the room. The woman followed him out. The butler stood there, hesitating for a moment. He was one step behind the two of them, but he still followed them. Zichen did not expect that the way he came to the demon realm was actually upside down. He fell in head first. Furthermore, in order to take revenge, Lei Shu had purposely sealed his own strength so that he could only land freely. It crashed through a building and smashed into the pool. He wiped his face and looked around. This place was filled with mist, and he had no idea where he was. Suddenly, he saw a pair of eyes right in front of him. It was a pair of women's eyes. They were very bright, and at such a close distance, he could even smell the faint fragrance of a woman. Zichen was slightly taken aback. What was going on? An ear-piercing scream rang out at this moment. The woman hurriedly retreated, and then a touch of white entered Zichen's eyes. Zichen was dumbfounded. Only now did he realize where he had landed. He wanted to curse at Lei Shu. At this moment, there was a bang. Someone rushed in from outside. At this time, the woman's body was wrapped in a coat, protecting that touch of spring. "Thief! How dare you break into the Lien family and kidnap someone?" A man barged in and shouted when he saw Zichen in the bathtub. The woman ran in after him. Seeing her frightened daughter curled up in a corner, she appeared to have fainted. "Ms. Misunderstanding, this is a misunderstanding," Zichen hurriedly explained. He stood up, his body soaked. The steward came in after him. When he saw Zichen, he angrily roared, "You thief! How dare you defile my family's young miss?" Zichen was dumbfounded. What was going on? The old steward's roar startled even the man and woman. They both wanted to stop him. Clearly, they couldn't joke about their daughter's reputation. If word of this got out, their daughter would be ruined. Unfortunately, the commotion from before was too great. The people from the city, Lord's residents, who had been waiting impatiently for a long time, all ran over and saw this scene. "What's going on here?" asked one of them, his face gloomy. They didn't know how to explain. "Sir," said the steward, "this thief is trying to do something to my family's young miss. I hope you can understand." What? The people's faces changed. When they looked at Zichen, it was as if flames were spewing out of their eyes. The young city lord had ordered them to come here and take someone away. Now that someone was plotting something, they were angry, but also in a dilemma. Should they take the Lien family's young miss back under these circumstances? Zichen hurriedly explained, "It's a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding. If it's a misunderstanding, then why are you in my family's young miss's room?" asked the steward. "I fell down," Zichen explained again. "If you weren't secretly spying on her, how could you have fallen down?" asked the steward again. Zichen opened his mouth, but didn't know how to explain. Was he from the saint spirit realm? Although these people all looked like spirits, they only looked like spirits. Who knew if they were actually related to demons? "You guys stay here and watch. We'll go back first." When they saw this, they immediately left. Lien Qing crouched to the side, sobbing. It was unclear whether she was frightened or wronged. "Get out here." The man looked at Zichen, who was still standing in the bathtub. Zichen had no choice but to step out. Without even thinking about it, he activated his power. His previously soaked clothes immediately became clean and tidy. other than Lian Qing, the other three people's faces all changed. Because when this young man activated his power, they felt an oppressive aura. The man felt that this was a thorny problem. This lecher's cultivation level was not low. The woman's eyes also changed, as if they were filled with anticipation. The steward's expression flickered, then quickly returned to normal. What do you think we should do? The steward looked at Zi Chen, who had just stepped out. Zi Chen helplessly explained, I really didn't do it on purpose. I don't even know you. How could I have spied on you? Lian Qing's sobs grew louder. The man's eyes flickered. He seemed to be hesitating about whether or not to slap Zi Chen to death. But he was also worried that if he didn't kill him and angered him, what would he do if he did something extremely vicious? Forget it. My family's young miss has had a hard life. You should leave. At this moment, the steward suddenly spoke up. The man was taken aback. He was telling him to leave? Since it's a misunderstanding, then you should leave. In any case, given the Lian clan's current situation, every survivor is a survivor. The woman wiped away her tears. Young man, you should leave. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.